You of fear, surprisingly enough. And I think too many times we shy away from the topics that aren't very pretty necessarily, but our students manage to really use this as an opportunity to express what they themselves fear. And in some ways, art is one of those wonderful tools that we have to help us overcome our fears and overcome our struggles. And so that's what you see as you walk around the gallery outside. You'll see each student's personal fears, and it's the first step is just knowing what you do fear. So I'm very proud of the work that they have done. If you're interested, Palm Glades Academy has a website, www.palmgladesacademy.com. My personal work is under my name, rachelfontainemorris.com as well, and all of my artwork is up there. If you're interested in purchasing or anything like that, you can contact me under my contact page. Thank you so much. We really appreciate this.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next presentations will be, first will be the police officer of the month for July, and followed by the swearing in of the new police reserve officers. Chief?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, members of the audience, Major Scott Kennedy with the City of Homestead Police Department in charge of operations. Also here tonight is Chief Alexander Roll, the rest of his command staff, which is Captain Marie Kent, Captain Angela Washington, Captain Mally Graham, Captain Tony Sincor. We also have Detective Aquino present here tonight with us to do the presentation for Officer of the Month for July 2014. This is a familiar face, Officer Mario Arzuaga. He's been employed with the City of Homestead since 2007. He's been with us for approximately 7 years. He initially started off in our Code Enforcement Division. While employed as a Code Enforcement Officer, he put himself through the Academy and became certified as a Reserve Police Officer and served diligently in the Reserve program for several years. In March of 2012, Officer Arzuaga was hired as a full-time officer and has been employed as such, working Uniform Patrol Division with our department. For the month of July, Officer Arzuaga has a total of 13 arrests. 6 of those are felonies, 7 are misdemeanors. He's issued 7 traffic citations, conducted 11 citizen contacts, and handled 151 calls for service. 2 dates that stand out are towards the end of the month, which is the first one's the 26th of July. He responded to a robbery in progress in the northwest residential area section of Homestead. Upon arrival in the area, he observed an individual kneeling over the victim lying on the ground, semi-conscious, and he was going through his pockets robbing the individual. Officer Arzuaga apprehended the subject without incident. Subsequent investigation found out that the individual unfortunately was having a seizure, and the subject took advantage of the fact of the medical situation this victim was suffering from and took advantage by committing the robbery. He apprehended that subject without incident. The next date, on the 27th, he was on his way to work. he stopped at the Circle K for coffee in the morning. His keen observations and experience and knowledge, he recognized an individual that was wanted for a sexual battery of a minor that had occurred recently that was wanted. He proceeded to request additional units, and the subject was subsequently arrested without incident there. On the same date, but later in the afternoon, Officer Arzwaga, again using his keen senses, observed an individual that was wanted for a burglary, domestic battery, and probation violation. When he observed the individual saw that the officer had drawn his attention. Subject fled, foot chase ensued. Subsequently, a perimeter was established. The subject was apprehended, taken into custody, but due to some injuries was transported to the hospital to have those injuries treated. While at the hospital receiving medical treatment, the subject became violent, assaulted Officer Arzwaga, and fled out of the emergency room. Again, was at large but wearing handcuffs this time. Again, perimeter was established, took several hours, but his quick action as far as identifying and setting up the perimeter, within hours that subject was again taken into custody. So without further ado, I'd like to present Officer Mario Arzwaga. Congratulations, he's a fine officer, very dedicated, very positive, proactive officer, has a great attitude, always brings energy into the room when he enters it, coming to work every day, and he definitely deserves this award that he's being given tonight. So I'd like to congratulate Officer Arzwaga for Officer of the Month, July 2014.
Major, you speak so eloquently, it's going to be hard to follow that one. But on behalf of the mayor and the council, we'd like to present this certificate of recognition to Officer Mario Arzwaga, Homestead Police Department. With gratitude, we thank you for your distinguished service above and beyond the call of duty. The City of Homestead salutes you. Congratulations, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, thank you for the to the City Council for allowing us to have this award here. Thank you to the command staff, all the command staff, for giving me the opportunity to work in a community in which I've been part of for over 30 years. Thank you to the sergeants, immediate, co-workers who really they put on that badge every day and help out in the community. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Sermon, thank you for the award, and special thank you to my mother, in which I get my enthusiasm from. Thank you.
Again, we try to do what's best for the City of Homestead and what's best for the residents here as well. And for the department. Mario has been outstanding, like Major Kennedy said, and this is the second time he's received this award within a couple of months. So just show you what kind of guys we have here and what kind of guys we hire here. We want real workers, dedicated police officers that really care about the city, and Mario has proved that time and time again. So again, Mario, thank you for your diligent work, and I hope that some of these other police officers just take a good look at what this guy does and follow his lead, because he's outstanding. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Detective Aquino. I am the in charge and supervisor of the Internal Affairs Division. I was given a mission, not only by Chief Rowe, but by our fine city manager, Mr. Gredis, to make sure that our police department recruits not only the top and highest quality officer, but that it also represents its community by mirroring the community, as well as our diocese, as you can see with the minorities and females that represent our citizens here today. With that, the chief wanted me to share with everyone the ethnic breakup of our department and why we don't have many problems or zero problems, or groups that activate themselves to protest against our city when there's incidents involving officers, because they do their just jobs and they do it fairly and with the Constitution in mind. With that, we have a total of 128 sworn officers. Out of that 128 sworn officers, we have 58, 42%, which are white officers. We have black officers that are 22, which make up 16%, and Hispanic officers of 58, which is 42%. That is a ratio of 62% minorities and 42% white officers. Within that breakup, we also now recruited, since under that new direction from the diocese and the manager, to have Haitian Creole speakers to represent that community. And we're proud to say to that, since that mission was given by the manager and the chief, we're at a total of 4, which will be including today, a Haitian American that's coming into our police department who speaks Creole. This is very important because when we represent our police department, we should mirror our community. And that's why every conflict or any problem we have within our community, it's handled swiftly by our police department, by great officers that are here today, that you see standing in this room and right now that are working on the street, that face situations every day. But we're not on CNN, we're not on national news. Why? Because they do their just jobs. They have the justice and they have the Constitution in mind, and they make sure that they represent our community. That representation is what you see here for the ethnic breakdown, and it starts from the top up with the first African American chief of police and having on his command staff total of 6 persons, which include 3 females, 3 African Americans, which are part of those 3 females, and 2 white males. And I guess Captain Sincor is an Italian, so we can say we represent the Italian population right there. So we got Italian there as well. So we definitely mirror our representation with that. With that, Captain Marie Kent would introduce the new officers who are going to serve you, the citizens of our community. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Captain Marie Kent with Homestead Police Department, and I'm here to introduce you to and swear in 4 new reserve officers for our department, and give you just a quick background of who they are, and keeping in mind, because I always like to remind everyone about this, the reserve officers that you see coming up tonight are similar to the rest of the reserve officers that we have. Their salary that they make each year is $1. That's what it costs for the taxpayers for them to be here. Most of the time the dollar is framed when it's given to them for that. So when you see them come up here and you see them out on the road and you see them working really hard, they're doing it because they love the job and nothing more. So as we go through, the first one, Mr. Jean Chevalier. Jean is 30 years old, and he was born in the Republic of Haiti. He grew up in Homestead and Florida City area. He attended A.L. Lewis, Homestead Middle, Campbell Drive Middle, and graduated from Homestead Senior High. He graduated the academy in 2012, and he has an AA in criminal justice. He's fluent in English and Creole. His wife, Carlene Toussaint, and 4 children are here, 2 of them being 4-year-old twins. Bless you. Mother Orgine Robergon is here also, his family, and I'm going to keep moving quickly to get ready for the pinning. Lexus Guerrero. Lexus is 21 years of age, and he was born in Miami-Dade, and he grew up in Homestead. He's a full-time City of Homestead employee, regular, for 2 years. He attended Mast Academy on Key Biscayne. He graduated the Police Academy February of 2014. He's fluent in English and Spanish. He's also a certified rescue diver. He comes from a law enforcement family. His dad, Laz Guerrero, has been a full-time police officer with Homestead Police Department for 18 years, and he's currently assigned to the SIU unit. His stepmother, Melissa Powers, was a deputy for Monroe County Sheriff's Office and tragically lost her life in the line of duty responding to an emergency assistance to another deputy in June of 2010. Very strong young man. The next person is Mr. Lance Monaco. Lance is 21, born in Miami-Dade, raised in Homestead. He has an AA in criminal justice, and he graduated from the Police Academy in February. He also comes from a law enforcement family. His father, John Monaco, is an officer that's been with us for the department for 19 years and a K-9 officer for 10 years. His mom, Julie, has been a longtime business owner in Homestead, cutting studio for 24 years. Hey, Dad. Next is Billy Pierce. Billy is 26. He was born in Miami-Dade and grew up in Homestead, right across the street from me. He's a full-time employee of the city for 8 years, and he graduated the Police Academy in February of 2014. He also comes from a law enforcement family. If you've ever traveled on US 1 North Homestead Boulevard to us, 15th Street, you'll see that there's a street sign where a portion of US 1 was renamed for Trooper Buck Buchanan Memorial Highway. Buck was with the Florida Highway Patrol for 25, 26 years until his retirement, sadly passing away from cancer in 1990. Buck was Billy's grandfather. Anyone who traveled the roads of Homestead knew that familiar face of Buck Buchanan when you traveled those roadways. Buck always had a nice smile on his face and a decent attitude when he spoke to everybody that was there. So for Billy, it's a strong background too, dude. He's got his grandmother, Linda, here tonight, Linda Anderson. His cousin, Aaron Pierce, who's a police officer with us for 9 years now. His wife, Diana. He's got his sister, Diana, here. His mom, Tammy. And his dad, Billy, who couldn't be here tonight, was there. I would like to invite Patty to administer the oath to all four, please.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida. I will obey the laws of the United States and the state of Florida. And I will in all respects observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the city of Homestead. And will faithfully discharge the duties of a reserve officer upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
They don't. If I can invite the following family members up to do the badge pinning, please. Gene Jr., Laz Guerrero, John Monaco, and Tammy Pierce. You guys, that way just a smidge.
As you see, this has happened as customary in all law enforcement community for the first time that the badge is pinned upon their chest by being a total sworn officer with the duties and responsibilities within, to pick a family member to pin on that badge for the first time. So that's why it's very ceremonious that majority of all the police departments do this ceremony.
This is a proud moment for everyone. What I would want to say for you to remember is be proud of the uniform you wear, the department you represent, and the trust and integrity that is expected by wearing the badge. Congratulations and welcome to the Homestead Police family.
Again, representation of the city of Homestead, here's 4 more. Thank you all so much for being here. And congratulations to you guys, you know. You could have been doing a lot of things, but you decided to do this. And this is wonderful today. So congratulations. One day, somebody's going to take my place. I hope it's one of you guys. Okay? Thank you so much.
We have a presentation from the Vice Mayor. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. I have the distinct pleasure tonight to invite up Senator Dwight Bullard, as well as Jackie Crusette from the NPCA, Christiana Admiral from Biscayne National Park, and the Mahogany Youth Group. And tonight, Senator Bullard is going to present to the City of Homestead a resolution declaring October 13, 2014 as Sir Lancelot Jones Day in Florida. And before they come up here, I want to give you a little background information on kind of how we got to this place. As you know, many of you, we launched the National Parks Trolley about a year ago. And during that process, I had some conversations with Jackie Crusette from the National Parks Conservation Association, kind of about the national parks, Biscayne National Parks, and she told me about this youth advocacy program that she had initiated and she was working on, and how she'd gotten these underprivileged youth together who were part of the Mahogany Youth Group to learn about the national parks and inspire them to kind of get involved in lobbying, or not lobbying, but advocacy for these national parks. And so one of the ideas they had to come up with is that, people come to our national parks, a lot of them for serenity and for the beauty, and, kind of get away and become one with nature, but all of us don't like nature. Some of us don't like bugs, some of us don't like all the outdoors stuff. A lot of us do like history. And so the idea was that they were going to come up with this concept to declare a Sir Lancelot Day in the state of Florida to draw attention to the history behind Biscayne National Park, in addition to just the nature of Biscayne National Park. And so with that, I'd like to invite up Christiana Admiral to give a little history about Lancelot Jones. Give a little brief introduction about what Sir Lancelot Jones means to Biscayne National Park.
Thank you. On behalf of the Department of the Interior, the National Park Service, and Biscayne National Park, I want to recognize all of you for your hard work in commemorating a really special person in the history of our park. Lancelot Jones was born to a pioneering African-American family out on the Southern Keys in Biscayne National Park, and their family legacy is one of pioneering spirit, values, and hard work, and that resulted in much of the land in Biscayne National Park today. Last year, their home site and farm sites were listed on the National Register of Historic Places as a National Historic District. So thank you again for commemorating this great man and his family. Probably born a slave, Lancelot's father, Israel Jones, beat all odds, and at that time that was particularly racial odds and economic odds, to become a successful landowner, farmer, and pioneer out on the islands in the southern part of the park. I was told that he named his sons Sir Lancelot and King Arthur after the Knights of the Round Table, because he hoped that they would live up to the noble reputation of the Knights of the Round Table. For nearly a century, the family thrived and survived on those southern keys. They planted pineapples and key limes, and they exported them all over the country. Lancelot was often hired in the 40s and the 50s as a fishing guide to the rich and the famous, including 3 presidents: Herbert Hoover, Richard Nixon, and Lyndon Johnson. As the battle between developers and proponents of creating a national park was later heating up in the 1960s, Lancelot Jones was offered high premiums for the family's land if he would sell it off to developers. However, he loved the land that he guided in, and he believed that it should be preserved forever. And so, at a much lower price, he ended up selling off the land, which is 277 acres in the park, at a much lower price to the National Park Service. And it is the most beautiful and the most pristine part of Biscayne National Park today. I feel that Lancelot really did live up to his noble name. He's a conservation hero and certainly a generous benefactor of Biscayne National Park. So special thank you to Senator Dwight Bullard, Vice Mayor Steve Shelley, Representative Holly Rothschein, National Parks Conservation Association Senior Program Coordinator Jackie Crusette, and our inspirational youth advocates who advocated for the bill to create Lancelot Jones Day, who are Douglas Sands, Elijah Williams, and Devon DeShaw. And this year, October 13th, in the state of Florida, will be Lancelot Jones Day. So thank you all for your efforts.
Thank you, Christiana. Now I want to invite up Jackie Crusette and the actual youth who made this happen, who learned about the legislative process through this initiative. And so I'd like to let them speak a little bit.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Jackie Crusette, and I work for the National Parks Conservation Association, and I'm really thrilled to be here today and to be talking to you all about Lancelot Jones, because this is an important story. This is our history, our shared cultural history, and it's a story not many people know about. And in working with our youth and trying to promote an awareness of national parks so that once people are aware of their national parks, they're going to want to protect them. Our future advocates for our national parks, you love the park, you love what you know, and in order to know it, you have to experience it. And we are advocating, we're working with youth to advocate for the future of our national parks. And in one of our trainings, one of these guys came up with the idea of Lancelot Jones Day after hearing the story. And we thought, well, I know a good idea when I hear it. Let's move on this. So we've done a lot of research. We spoke with many representatives. Thankfully, Senator Dwight Bullard and Holly Rothschein both picked up the torch of this, with Senator Bullard being able to pass this through the state legislature in the Senate. And this October 13th is declared Lancelot Jones Day. So this is really a thrill. We hope to have this story known. We're working on having this designation permanently in the state legislature so that we can get this story into the school curriculum so that everybody knows the story of Lancelot Jones, because this is, like I said, our shared history. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Douglas Sands. I'm here with Mahogany Youth on behalf of National Parks Conservation Association. I personally feel thankful, Senator Bullard, Vice Mayor, National Parks, Jackie, and my constituents. I thank you all for hearing about Sir Lancelot when I was a child in my family home. As a Bahamian, I hear stories of other Bahamians, but you don't always hear these stories. I considered it my personal heritage. You don't hear it outside of your home. So it was very delightful to hear this story, and like she said, being able to advocate not just towards someone significant as Sir Lancelot, but just more or less anyone that's active, to have taken something and made it available for everyone in the community. This national gem should be able to be appreciated to everyone. Everyone needs to know the story. Everyone needs to know everything that he did, and as part of your history, it's our history, and that's why we do what we do. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Elisha Williams. I'm here representing Mahogany Youth on behalf of NPCA, and I would like to say, as a young man in the year 2012, Mahogany Youth and NPCA, we gathered at Biscayne National Park and the fish with over 200 to 300 children. That's the year, and I mark it, that I came into the knowledge of Lancelot Jones and his contribution to the state of Florida, nevertheless the nation alone. And I was astounded. You know, I hear the stories. Many that tell the stories are consistent. And he was a strong guy, major contribution, well-respected, notable man. He knew many prominent people, presidents, and he was a guy. Nevertheless, more importantly to me, of course, in my opinion, that is, in the year in which he sold this land, in the year in which he was an entrepreneur selling limes on Elliott Key along with his family members, it was a time in which it was tough for someone of my descent, African American, and many others, to prevail or achieve such success as he did, him and his family. And I think that's very important. So when I fish with a lot of these children, and on average, Mahogany Youth Corporation fish with about 2,500 children each year, I think to myself, how many children really know, are well informed of someone who achieved something that's so great. I mean, we have great presidents. You know, we had Martin Luther King. We also had Rosa Parks. This is great. We had Columbus. We have many other people that make these contributions to our nation, which makes us strong, undivided as we stand. So what bothers me is, why don't people know of those who paved the road for us to come and stand here today? I asked a question earlier among my colleagues here in a room that we were gathered in about whether or not, if the Jones family and Lancelot Jones were an economic drive for Florida during the time in which they were selling key limes and all the other produce. It's a good question. It's a good question to ask, a very great question. You know, and his name is legend, and we all should know about it. You know, do we sell ourselves short for not coming into the knowledge of people who've achieved such great accomplishments? Just think, had we not today known of many people who have achieved such things, would we really have a perspective or idea? Would we be able to conceive the direction we would like to go or head into individually and as a nation? And would we be able to pass down dreams and inspire children who may come after us, and which inspiring children is one of the main things that MPCA and also Mahogany Youth is what they do, or what we do. One of the more things that we're one of our fundamentals. We just want children to understand that there's opportunities out there. You can achieve many things, but what's most important is that you understand, respect, and acknowledge the people who have paved the way for you to be where you are today. And I won't take up too much time here. I would like to thank you all, along with Mayor Shelley, Senator Bullard, Jackie Crissette, the wonderful Biscayne National Parks team here behind me, and my constituents. Thank you all for listening.
Good evening. My name is Devon DeSaw, and I represent NPCA as one of the youth advocates for Biscayne National Park, as well as some of our other projects. And I also represent Florida's foster and adopted youth. Being one myself, I've aged out of it, and one of the issues that comes with that is you don't necessarily know your story. A lot of times you depend on other people's story. There are a lot of holes in your past, things you don't know. But I found through this Lancelot Jones story and knowing of his work, his family's work, it helps me know a little bit more about myself. Not the full story, but he begins to fill in some holes. His contribution to South Florida, the state of Florida, the United States, his accomplishments, his achievements, and his work with conservation, selling his property to people who would preserve it and really benefit it. That was inspiration for me. And I just want to say it's really awesome for us to be celebrating someone of Florida's direct history, not Texas, not Alabama, but Florida itself. And I really appreciate those who've worked to make Lancelot Jones Day possible. It's a big dream come true for a lot of us. Vice Mayor Shelley, Senator Bullard, and all of those, NPCA, the National Park Service, all of you have worked with us to make this possible. Thank you so much for your contributions.
As you can see, these youth are very passionate about this issue and very passionate about, learning about the legislative process. And I thank them for their hard work and for staying the course. And I hope they enjoyed the efforts and the fruits of their labor. And with that, I'd like to now turn it over to Senator Dwight Bullard, because when this idea first came up, I set a meeting up between Senator Bullard of the NPCA and the Mahogany Youth, and he was on board immediately. He said, whatever I can do to help make this happen, whatever I can do to help teach these youth, he was on board to do. So I'd like to turn it over with him now to present the resolution.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Shelley, and I want to give, of course, warm greetings to the Mayor and Council. Good to see you all. How are we all doing? As well as the wonderful folks who came out today. I am State Senator Dwight Bullard. I represent a significant portion of Homestead in District 39. And when I was approached by Mayor Shelley and the MP, the National Parks MPCA, I always got to get those letters transposed. MPCA about the proposition of Lancelot Jones Day, it really just spoke to me in a very genuine way. And I don't know if they actually know the sort of backstory. Probably about 24 hours prior to meeting with them, a gentleman had come to my office from the Henry Flagler Museum. We're all familiar with that name, right? Okay, Henry Flagler. And in all the years that we've known about Henry Flagler, the prominence, what he's meant to South Florida, there are very few remnants of his presence in Tallahassee. So the gentleman was approaching me about the fact that the Henry Flagler Museum wanted to place a statue of Henry Flagler on the Capitol grounds in Tallahassee, and would I be supportive of the bill? Of course, you know, we all know Henry Flagler, we all know his contribution. So it was very telling and very poignant 24 hours later that I get a chance to have this meeting about someone who's made an equally significant impact to South Florida, but is little known to many of us. And so I think it's important that Lancelot Jones, his family, receives the recognition that they deserve, and hopes of having many more. And I think it's important, and I'll definitely read an abbreviated version of the resolution so you guys can fully appreciate it. For those who've been watching the PBS series on the Roosevelts, we know that President Theodore Roosevelt was one of the driving forces behind our national park system as a whole. So the idea that someone can come along post-Roosevelt and understand the significance of what we now see as the Julius Biscayne National Park is critically important. That being said, Senate Resolution 1158, a resolution designating October 13, 2014 as Lancelot Jones Day in Florida. Born in 1898 on a 22-foot boat in Biscayne Bay, entrepreneur and farmer Sir Lancelot Garfield Jones prospered by supplying the nation with key limes and was an expert fishing guide sought by 5 presidents, numerous senators, influential industrialists, and other cultural icons eager to experience the beauty of the bay's wildlife. Whereas Sir Lancelot Garfield Jones lived most of his 99 years on the island of Porgy Key, which was first settled by his pioneer father and Bahamian mother in 1897 in an area long associated with the African American maritime history, and which is now on the National Register of Historic Places. I'll move ahead to what I think is the most significant portion of any resolution, and that is, whereas the invaluable efforts of Sir Lancelot Garfield Jones to preserve the land he loved and to ensure that future generations would delight in its beauty and abundance have resulted in significant economic, ecological, and cultural contributions to this state, its heritage, and its future. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Florida that October 13th, 2014 is now designated as Lancelot Jones Day in Florida. Please. And I think it's of great benefit, but something that us as deep South Floridians, as I like to call those of us who live south of 120th Street, southwest of 120th Street, the deep South Floridians, representing communities that we begin to tell our story. We're talking about Homestead, founded by homesteaders, and there is no more significant homesteader than the gentleman who would ultimately give us a significant portion of Biscayne National Park. So thank you.
I want to thank my colleagues for, I know it was a long presentation, but it was an important issue. So thank you very much for bearing with me. And if you guys would come down, we'll do one group picture. There actually was supposed to be a framed resolution, but we forgot it. So Unfortunately, we don't have it, but you can imagine what it would look like. But we'll still do a picture.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our special presentations. So we're going to take about a 5-minute recess, reset the tapes, and then we'll go into the council meeting. Patricia. I'd like to call the Tuesday, September 23rd, 2014 council meeting to order. It's approximately 6:35 p.m. This evening, the invocation will be by Pastor Byron Hughes, pastor of Homestead House of Prayer Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Councilwoman Patricia Faircloth and the Police Explorers. Would you all please stand?
Pray. Most gracious God, I come before you with humbleness of heart to say thank you on behalf of the leaders and citizens of this great city we call Homestead. We have been instructed to first of all make supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For this is good and acceptable in your sight. Therefore, I pray now for all elected officials entrusted with the holy and humble calling of public service. I pray God's blessing upon our mayor, upon the various levels of city officials, upon our schools, educators, faculty, staff, and students. I pray God's blessings upon our police department, chief, and officers. I pray God's blessings upon the businesses of this city and petition you for new job growth. I pray God's blessing upon the citizens of this great city. Finally, I petition your blessings and divine guidance upon the meeting which is about to begin, and in particular for this assembled council. I thank you for the ability to work together in harmony with a unified vision to build a premier residential and business community in which to work, live, and raise a family. Thank you, Lord, for your many blessings and for answering my prayer. It is in your name that I pray. Amen.
As we stand here in solidarity, I ask that you join us in honoring and acknowledging the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Hughes, for that lovely prayer, and Ms. Fairclough, thank you for the Pledge of Allegiance, and to the Police Explorers. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Here.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. Item 3 is public comments. At this time, the floor is open for public comments. Please come to the podium, name and address for the record, please.
Dan Carter, 1702 Northwest 5th Avenue, Homestead.
Susan Newman, 2835 Fairways Drive, Homestead.
We're here tonight on behalf of the Homestead South Dade Kiwanis, and we wanted to bring attention to a fundraiser that we're going to be doing on October 25th to raise funds for scholarships.
Somebody with the sound. We've got a huge echo up here. I don't know if anybody can take a look at it. Okay. We'll try it again, I guess. Go ahead.
Okay, try
I'm
again.
sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. We're basically, Homestead South Dade Kiwanis is having a fundraising event right here, thanks to the council for helping us arrange to have our scholarship raffle held right here. It'll be October 25th, Saturday, and it's from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to there'll be food, and there'll be a cash bar and music, and what we're doing is we're selling only 300 tickets. Now, the tickets are $100 each, but it admits 2 people, and it's a fun event. What we do is it's a reverse raffle, and if anybody's not familiar with a reverse raffle, you are familiar with a raffle where you put all the tickets in a hat and draw one out. Well, we draw all the tickets out, and the grand prize of $10,000 goes to the last ticket that's drawn out. So not only is it a fun event, you get fed, you have some good music, but you have a chance to win some funds, and we will also have other prizes. Some of those other prizes include, and I'll let Sue kind of tell you about some of those.
We will have every 50 tickets or so. We're giving another nice prize out. We have a tennis bracelet. We have a Coach purse. We have a couple of small trips involved. We'll have some gift certificates, some electronics. So you'll get just a nice variety. Plus, we'll have a silent auction. And if you're wondering why are we doing this, there's a real purpose. We give scholarships to our graduating seniors. From this event alone last year, we were able to give out 18 $1,000 scholarships to these graduating seniors for their colleges. So all the money that we raise from this event only goes to scholarships, 100%. We're not paid, nobody gets paid. So it really is important that we help our youth get to college.
I'd like to say that, in addition to buying a ticket, we would like to reach out to everybody here. That's mayor, council, and city employees, police officers that were here, citizens, anybody that can. But it is a fun event, and we would like you to come, bring friends with you, tell them about it, and help us raise this money for scholarships for these kids. If you can see me here, or you can call me, and my phone number is 305 245, let me change that, 305-298-7822. I was given my home phone, and my wife gets upset when all these calls come in on the house phone. So my cell phone, 305-298-7822. But appreciate it. I have postcards here. I'll leave some on the table and leave some on the tables out in the, but we appreciate the support of the city council and the mayor helping us provide and we want to make it a community event, so we implore you to, come on out and have a good time.
And if Dan doesn't answer his phone, call me. I'll answer my phone, 305-345-8822. Thank you.
By the way, Elvis attended last year, so he knows what the event's like, and he can pass the word.
Good job.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager, citizens of Homestead. I have a few guests here with me today, the community of Keysgate Fairways. I'm here on a multi-mission thing tonight. First of all, I would like to say I'm a director of This Is for the Kids, and we're promoting our Rocking Rib Fest on October 4th. Hope you will all attend. Great ribs, great event. Secondly, I'd like to remind the council and citizens of the VFW Veterans Day Parade on November 11th. The most concerned reason I'm here, and if they would sit down now, is I would like to talk to you about, give you a few words about the proposed sale of Keysgate Golf Club. I respect the importance of transparency in our government and the people who serve. As a delegate of the Fairways, I've encouraged neighbors to offer their opinion and speak their minds so all can be heard and considered. We have always expected the fingers on the back nine of the golf course to be developed by the owners. We never thought that the golf course land could be built on. But apparently it is zoned multifamily and 900 homes are in the developer's plans. Mr. Rosen, the anticipated new owner, has suggested a closing and renovation of the Keysgate Golf Club and course, and suggested that the residents help him pay for them in the form of a recreational contract. We believe this cannot be forced upon the residents of Keysgate. Our support could be based upon the complete understanding of what the plan is for the golf course properties. These words describe the feelings of many owners in Keysgate. Anxiety, is the golf course closure temporary or permanent? Stress, the cost anticipated this to the residents of Keysgate. Anger that this may be forced upon them. The golf course is important to the city of Homestead, not just Keysgate. The loss of golfing in Homestead would have an adverse effect on the entire city. When we purchased our property, we paid premium values for being next to the golf course. If a developer plans to build houses on the golf course land, it will impact our quality of life and property value. Will the city follow its own comprehensive plan for land development? And I quote the city's comprehensive plan. Of course, it's 87 pages long, so I'm not going to do all of that. But it says, and I paraphrase, promote the health, safety, and welfare of Homestead residents by providing adequate lands for growth and redevelopment, and encourage the appropriate use of those lands, avoiding undue concentration of population, enhancing the unique quality of life and sense of community, conserving the financial value of the built environment and the environmental value of the city's natural resources and nearby attractions. The residents have a question, and as it is the city aware of any development plans or inquiries to develop the golf course land and build homes? You may not be able to answer that question immediately tonight, but we'll be looking for that answer in the future. We also feel that the city would be a better owner than a poorly managed golf course. I don't know how you accomplished that, but I know the city of Marion in Ohio was able to accomplish that, and they have a prosperous and profitable golf course. I appreciate your minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tebow. Mr. Manager, has there been any discussions from the developers regards to anything on the golf course?
We had heard similar rumors. The developer called late last week saying that he'd like to come in and see us. We haven't seen him yet, but we certainly will keep everybody abreast of the situation, and there's assuming he's got a proposal, and I'm not really sure what he has at this point, we will make sure that the notice and the whole process is as transparent as possible so nobody's surprised and everybody has an opportunity. Obviously, whoever owns that course, and I'm not really sure, again, all I've heard is what I've heard rumor-wise. We will make sure that once we know what their property rights are, what their intention is, then we'll start having some sort of dialogue and making sure that the public is aware. Also, if they would like to designate somebody so that we can communicate as things progress, happy to do that as well.
Vice Mayor, you had a question?
Happy to do it. I'll tell you, if you want to give me your card afterwards, or I'll give you my card, and we'd be happy to just communicate this way. Any kind of a project like this, the more communication there is, because property owners have certain rights, but then also this dais has certain obligations, so as long as everybody is abreast of the progress or lack of progress, the sooner we have some information, and we'll get it to you as quickly as possible. Okay.
Vice Mayor, and then Mr. Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. I know I've spoken to the attorney on this issue or asked some questions on this issue. So my understanding is we can't do anything as far as the sale of the private land to another private entity. We can't really weigh in on that particular issue. But what I would like to do is at least ask or request a memorandum. Can you put together and let me know what can they do with that golf course as it sits now? If a new developer buys it, does it have to stay a golf course? Is there anything we can do to make sure that it stays a golf course or open space? Do they have a right to build? What is the zoning? Because I heard some zoning referenced. So if you can maybe put together some information or a memorandum for us so we can get ahead of the game and understand where we sit as a government, so that when the developer starts asking these questions or presenting plans, we can fight accordingly.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Maldonado.
That's okay. Vice Mayor covered exactly what I wanted to say. Just let us get prepared and let us know the answers beforehand, and we know that this is coming. We've received the emails from the community. We're very aware of what's happening, and obviously we're expecting you to come. And so, but that's good to know that you guys can come here knowing that the city will respond in the correct manner. So that'll be all. Thank you.
Anyone else? I think the consensus from the council is, we're going to pay attention to it when it gets in front of us. I don't think any of us want to see the loss of the golf course. I don't think any of us want to see the loss of any kind of recreational activity for this community. So let it get to us. We'll definitely, transparency is what this group is all about. We're going to tell you everything that we know, and I think the manager hears the council members, so we'll get ahead of it or get as much information as we can. And definitely, Bill, if you're going to be the representative, then we'll keep you abreast of everything. Okay? Any other questions? Any other public comments? Yes, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, elected officials. On tonight, we come before you with the concern of Hallelujah Night. It's a 13-year.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Before
Mr. Williams
get started with his comment, I just want to say this and introduce this point. I know Reverend Stouts has been trying to get in touch, or he sent over a memo for all of us to look at. But the Hallelujah Night over with the Ministry Alliance is something that this council has supported over the years. And so I know it's coming down to that point, and I think he's very new to the area and the community. So hopefully, if we can, after hearing what he has to say, hopefully my colleagues and I will pitch into in our individual accounts, help to facilitate some funding in our own PR account or so to help with this project over in the southwest area with the Hallelujah Night that's designed to keep the kids safe and out of trouble during that time. So I present Reverend Townsend take over, but I want to go on record to say that I support his effort and what the Ministry Alliance is doing over there. So thank you so much, Mayor, and Reverend.
Thank you, Mr.
for allowing me
Williams.
to speak.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. We all are familiar. I'm a representative of South Day Minister Alliance. Come on this night to actually introduce the Hallelujah Night, which we have been doing for the last 13 years in the Southwest community. It has been a great success for the community. It has brought down crime rate from what we have been looking at in the recent years by 10%. So this is a need for the Southwest community. On tonight, we are proposing that Hallelujah Night is consist on Halloween night, is to protect our young ones that are at hand. With that being said and done, we're looking for the support of not just our councilmen, but our community. This event is put together by your donations, your monetary donations, and your support. We have had a great turnout. Last year, we served over 1,000 kids to be in a safe place and not on the streets of Homestead. Also, it's not just Homestead, but it's Florida City and Homestead that is coming together. Last year, we were honored to be able to have and host the park event in the Florida City area, and we're asking that Homestead come back and actually allow us to be able to do the event in Homestead, because we're trying to do this together as a community and keep the crime rate down for our kids. I have put together a 5-year proposal for Homestead to do even years and Florida City to do odd years, but given that we need to know a definite place to be able to have, or for us to be able to host the Hallelujah Night.
Any questions from council? Now, exactly, you're asking for what you're asking for, just anything that council members individually can have available to add to your resource?
As of this year, yes. And then we'll come back with a proposal for the 5-year with the parks. Trying to figure out where could we host Hallelujah Night without having to come to the last minute every year and ask, can we have a park or can we have this? And so we will know in advance on where the event will be hosted in the sense of each community.
Okay, Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mayor, again. And I fully support this initiative, and I'm going to contribute the match that I can contribute, which is $500 to help them get their event underway. I mean, you know, it's almost less than 30 days out from you know, their purpose, and every year they touch so many kids, and it's gone up. So it's been a really positive thing for the quality of life for the residents throughout the entire city, but also in the Southwest area. So I hope my colleagues would aid and assist whatever you can do. I'm pretty sure it's very appreciative. So thank you so much, Mayor, and to Pastor for coming and sharing with us tonight. And might I add, I've been very ill, and I've been in Homestead Hospital for the last 2 weeks. So I ask that you all continue to pray and support me during this period of time in my sickness. So thank you so much, my fellow colleagues in the mayor.
Carlos, question, is this expenditure, is this in this year's or next year's budget cycle?
It will be in next year's budget cycle. So October 1st.
October 1st.
I think their event is at the end of October. So, you know, I think from that, I think if I'm correct, whatever I have left over from this year, make $5,000.
What is it?
I mean, $500 from my PR or whatever account that you all can do about. So, but I think it's for this year or next year. So Carlos, I guess, do that for us.
Okay, I would like to have, if you could, leave some information with the clerk so that I could have my assistant get in touch with you and possibly find out what we have available. I don't know, I don't speak for the rest of the council members, but I'd like to be supportive as much as possible, but I'd like to, run it through my assistant and see what resource we have. So, anybody else have anything?
I guess we should point him, if I could. I think he's looking for a permanent home for this great event too. So I think we should probably get him in touch with Dennis and that staff over there, and see if they can come to some kind of consensus. Because if I understood correctly, this is an annual event, and they're trying to find a permanent home for it to help the community over there, so that they know where they're going to be every year, and they're not coming to us at the last minute begging or asking or hoping. So I think it would be beneficial if we could get him with Mr. Maytan and their department and see if there's some kind of program that we can work out to help them over there.
It would also be helpful if this could be handled like most other these types of requests, where we get information, the organization, the nature of their event and that kind of thing, so that the staff can look at it and bring it back to you with a thorough analysis.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Faircloth.
Yes. I think this is a wonderful event for the community because it takes the kids off the street, and I pledge my support for this event. What I'd also like to recommend, since this is a collaborative effort between the City of Homestead and the City of Florida City, I think the resources should be allocated equally, in that it's rotating years. You're in Florida City last year, perhaps the City of Homestead this year, as opposed to it being principally in the City of Homestead every single year, since both cities are partaking in this event. So I think that should be considered as well.
So if you wouldn't mind making an appointment with Dennis Maytan, and we'll start the process, assuming that's okay with the board, council. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. No other public comments at this time. We'll close the public hearing. And if there's no objection from council, before we move forward, I'd like to bring tab 24 forward for discussion. This is the ordinance of do we have to do the quasi?
No, this is a legislative matter, Mayor, so I'll just introduce the title of the ordinance.
Any opposition to this being brought forward? Go ahead, sir.
Give me 1 second. This tab 24 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Chapter 4 Animals, Article 3, Dogs and Cats of the City Code by creating Division 4 Retail Sale Restrictions to provide regulations governing the retail sale of dogs or cats within the city, providing for prohibitions, providing for exemptions, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager, do you have anything, or is it no staff report? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor Reporter. I do have, it was brought to my attention that there is a small loophole in some of our language, and I spoke with our attorney, and I asked him if we could close the loophole up, because what it would prevent that retail stores couldn't be breeding inside of the store and selling. They're going to have to strictly go through a adoption policy that one of our local rescue groups here in town has, or from the county. The loophole just says that, to make sure that there's no backroom breeding and that they're using them. I would also like to bring forward Commissioner Michelle Lazaro from Hallandale Beach, who has helped us and brought this to our attention and has been spearheading it throughout the entire tri-county area. And good evening. Nice to see you. Push a button until it's green. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, City Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Councilman Burgess. Nice to meet you in person. I am Michelle Lazaro. I'm a City Commissioner in Hallandale Beach. This has been my initiative throughout the South Florida area. And thank you, Councilperson Fairclough. I can't see you. Sorry, Patricia, thanks. We were classmates. The reason for this ordinance is to ban the sale of sick and ill puppy mill dogs from retail pet stores. As you know, none of the national chains, PetSmart, Pet Supermarket, Petco, no longer sell commercially bred animals, dogs. And one of the reasons that they are not doing that is that they are bred in inhumane and sick inhumane sources that then cause the overbreeding and sick dogs to be sold throughout the country. So we have been successful in 70 municipalities in the United States, with Cook County, the second largest county in the country, and we have passed 32 in South Florida. So we are working quickly to move it as fast as we can. I also would like to call up my colleague, if you don't mind, real quick, Don Anthony from the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida, who's been helping me spearhead this. If I could do that, take a moment to thank you.
Thank you very much. I am Don Anthony, Communications Director for the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. We have 5,000 members around the state, and we're based in Fort Lauderdale. And I am here to support the ordinance banning the sale of commercially bred dogs and cats in pet stores. As Commissioner Lazaro mentioned, more than 60 cities around the country have passed these ordinances, more than 30 here in South Florida, so more than half have been done here in South Florida. Now, why are they doing this? Because these ordinances protect consumers, local taxpayers, and the animals as well. Pet shops get their dogs from puppy mills. That is the source. Female dogs live their entire lives packed in crowded cages. They're filthy, disease runs rampant, the animals are neglected severely and continuously inbred, resulting in a long list of inherent conditions and diseases. But really, they're puppy mills because the dogs in them are commodities. They never go for a walk, they never get out of the cage, they never sleep on the bed, they never do anything your dog likes to do. They exist to spend every minute in those filthy cages and act as reproducing machines until they're no longer profitable, and then they're killed. A ban on commercially bred animals will help end this. It will also protect unwitting consumers who buy a dog and then find out a few months later that the dog requires thousands of dollars in vet bills because of all the inbreeding. And it will protect local and county taxpayers who end up footing the bill when these animals with sky-high vet bills are dumped at county shelters because the owners can't afford them. That means you and all these people end up paying to collect them, house them, feed them, and eventually kill them. The ordinance does not in any way hurt small business. We support pet shops, and we encourage them to open in the city, and they can sell food, supplies, beds, vet services, grooming services, doggy daycare, all of which are lucrative and can be very successful businesses on their own. And they can also display animals that come from animal control, the Humane Society, and licensed rescue groups. This is exactly what huge stores like PetSmart, Pet Supermarket, and Petco do, and many smaller mom-and-pop stores. They make millions of dollars without selling commercially bred animals. The ordinance does not affect hobby breeders. They still will be able to sell directly to the public as always. This only stops commercially bred animals from being sold in pet shops because that's where the problem is. But doesn't the USDA inspection mean anything? No. Almost all of the filthy, disease-ridden puppy mills are USDA inspected. And guess what? They're still puppy mills. It means nothing to have that inspection. I don't know if you know this or not, but the USDA is so short-funded and short-handed that only 1% of the food that you ever eat is inspected, just 1%. So why anybody would think that there's going to be thousands of USDA inspectors roaming the land and inspecting these filthy facilities around the country, it just doesn't happen. So I know you'll do what many other cities have already done and passed this ordinance unanimously to protect local consumers, the taxpayers, and of course the animals as well. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I've done a search with our departments, and we have no businesses that would be affected by this in town right now, so it's not going to hurt anybody's local business. The only thing I would ask is, James, if you could help me with the amendment so that we can close that loophole.
Sure. On page 4 of the ordinance, under section 4.124, which provides for the exemptions, exemption A, at the very end of the sentence, where it says, on the premises of the person or establishment, amend that to say establishments that are not retail in nature, just to clarify.
Okay.
And that's the only proposed change to the language.
Any questions on the change, Ms. Faircloth?
No questions on the change.
Anything else, Mr. Burgess?
No.
Any questions on the changes?
I do have a quick comment.
Yes,
First,
sir.
I want to thank Commissioner Lazaro for bringing this forward to us. As many people know, my wife is very involved in the saving of dogs down here in Homestead, as is the mayor's. And I think that this is an important way to show that Homestead is serious about the problem that we have down here of being a dump site, for lack of a better term. I can't tell you how many dogs every day my wife gets a call on. So hopefully by passing these type of ordinances, we will be able to get some relief for the communities that struggle with this problem every day, one. And two, the dogs that are out there will come from hobby breeders and will be healthy pets for whoever brings them into their home. So I would appreciate the support tonight of my fellow council members, and I say thank you ahead of time.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said, plus bringing this forward to us for discussion, and thank you for coming down and presenting it. And, this is a public hearing, so at this time I will open up. I'm sorry, Ms. Faircloth. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome to Homestead, Commissioner Lazaro. We were classmates in former Commissioner Katie Sorensen's Good Government Initiative Class 3. In one of our sessions, I don't know if she remembers, but I listened very attentively to her. She said, we have so many people advocating for our kids, i.e. me, who's advocating for our pets? And she has done so relentlessly and passionately. And I just thank you so much for your advocacy in joining a coalition of municipalities in a proactive approach to protect our pets. So thank you so much for the drive, literally and figuratively. And I thank you, Councilman Burgess, for taking the lead on this and bringing this good item before us that I fully support.
Thank you. Anything else from council? It is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak for or against this ordinance? You're welcome to speak now. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks for being here and letting, and I'm glad we pulled this forward to get this situation taken care of. We'll go back to the original agenda and additions or deletions, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. There's one addition to this evening's agenda, which is addendum number 1, which is the minutes from the emergency special call meeting that you all had on Sunday. And the clerk has requested, staff's requested that that item just be moved under your consent agenda and be approved under consent.
Is there a motion to move that into the consent agenda? Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Carried. So now we're going to tab 1, which is the consent agenda.
Yes, item number 5, the consent agenda, which includes tabs 1 through 15, and the added addendum.
Any questions? Anything? Anybody want to pull anything off? Is there
Mayor?
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'd like to pull tab number 3 and yeah, I think that's it. Tab 3 for me.
Okay, Mr. Williams would like to pull tab 3. You want to go ahead and discuss that question now?
No, I'll wait to see if there's any other.
Anyone else need to pull an item? None? Mr. Williams, your item is up.
Okay, I just want to get more clarification as a result of this premium or so. Would they explain a little bit more for the cost? Has our policy gone up with all of the workman compensation because of the increase? Could they just talk about that for a moment or explain a little bit more detail? Because I see it's a 13.5% increase for the premium on the policy.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, good evening, Councilman Williams and members of council and Mayor Porter. We did have an increase that was largely in part due to the added police officers from last year. So the added payroll is what caused the increase.
So it represents $1.2 million in increase, or that was the increase of the payroll?
No, that was the increase of payroll, and it represents a 0.05% increase in the premium.
I got you. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Do we need to vote on that individually, or can we just put it back in the consent agenda?
You can approve it under the consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. Williams, you okay putting it back in the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to pull it.
Yes, sir. Is there a motion to move the consent agenda forward? Is there a second?
Second.
Any final comments or questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Tab 6.
Yes, Mayor. Moving on to your quasi-judicial section of your agenda, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization, and further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications they've had concerning any of the following items on the agenda. Hearing none, at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on the following quasi-judicial items.
Would you please stand and raise your right hand? Repeat after me. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 16.
Yes, tab 16 is a final order of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a certificate of use to allow the sale of beer and wine for off-premises consumption in conjunction with the operation of a convenience store located at 57 Southwest 8th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager, I believe in the last hearing there was some questions about the police reports and what calls for services, and I think there was a question about the criteria. So I guess we should talk about the police reports at this time.
Good evening. The applicant, IN Enterprises, is requesting approval of a certificate of use to permit the sale of beer and wine for off-premises consumption in conjunction with the operation of a convenience store located at 57 Southwest 8th Street. The property is zoned Southwest Planned Urban Neighborhood Commercial Subarea and has a land use designation of Planned Urban Neighborhood, both which permit convenience stores. At its August 20th meeting, the City Council deferred this item to obtain additional information regarding police calls of service and certificate of use criteria. The calls of service are attached in Exhibit 4 of your packets. And let me summarize those for you. There were a total of 10 calls of service associated with the property address 57 Southwest 8th Street from the date range of August 25th, 2013 to August 25th, 2014. Of those calls of service, 3 reports were written. I want to state on the record that even though there was a total of 10 calls of service, that doesn't necessarily mean that all the calls of service were associated with this particular address. we use addresses as just a point of reference for intersections or adjacent properties. The 3 reports that were written include 2 traffic accidents where vehicles backed into one another, and a arrest which occurred at 3 a.m. when the store was closed. An officer was checking on the closed business and arrested a male for narcotics.
Anything else?
Yes, the criteria. Just give me 1 minute. There are a total of 6 criteria required by the city code and staff's evaluation of the certificate of use application. And I'm just going to summarize what staff noted. The sale of beer and wine for off-premises consumption is incidental to the convenience store and will not generate excessive traffic or noise. It does not change the character or activities of operation and will not tend to create a fire or any other dangerous hazard. The sale of beer and wine for off-premises consumption will be an incidental use to the convenience store operation, thereby constituting a minor aspect of this commercial retail use. The use will not provoke excessive overcrowding or concentration of people or population. The proposed certificate of use will not endanger the health, safety, or welfare of residents to the city of Homestead or surrounding communities. The proposed sale of beer and wine for off-premises consumption is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And the final criteria, the sale of beer and wine for off-premises consumption in conjunction with the operation of a convenience store is in compliance with the zoning regulations, and all improvements within the structure shall be required to comply with building codes of the city of Homestead.
Questions from council?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Williams.
Yes. I have, I've gone out and got an additional 150 signatures in print, and I thought that my sister would have brought it over there and given it to you all, but my understanding it has not reached you all yet, of this situation. Not only from the signatures from the last gentleman that included from the area, but these are additional 150 additional signatures that we have gathered in protest to not allow beer and wine at this location. And as I said in the beginning, last council meeting, that we're trying to change the image within that area on Lucy Street that this area will impact. And so I'm hoping that we do not allow this to happen. We've gone out and got an additional Homestead Southwest area persons to sign the petition of 150 people so that their license is not granted in order to sell beer and wine. My question to staff is, how many convenience stores do we have on Lucy Street that's selling beer and wine?
Councilman Williams, we would have to go back and do a license check of all of those establishments. I don't unfortunately have that readily available.
Yeah, that's my other concern. It's not that there's not enough of beer and alcohol for that on that strip on Lucy Street as it is. It's not that it's a commodity that the community needs. We have a plethora of beer and wine convenience stores that are selling these items. So we're trying to change the image of Lucy Street with all the new impact that's going to be happening. We're just trying to change the culture over there that we're trying to, and the aesthetics of the community. And so, again, I'm strongly opposed to this. I've gone out and gathered 150 additional signatures in protest of this beer and wine license.
Okay, sir. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. As I stated last time, I've had a business owner that's not in competition, has nothing of this type of store also. that is opposed to the sale of beer and wine at this particular place. So I just want to put that on the record.
James, little confusion on my part in the last meeting. There was it was implied that pretty much if a establishment meets that criteria list, we're somewhat required to allow them to do what they're asking for, irregardless of, you know, community input or irregardless of council input. So I need some clarity on that because...
Sure. That is correct in that you have criteria that are established for a certificate of use. Those criteria, as Ms. Lopez read into the record, are 1 through 6. And those are the criteria established in your code for the issuance or the granting of a certificate of use for beer, wine, alcohol. This applicant's requesting the sale of beer and wine, not alcohol, but the same criteria if you were for a restaurant, for a convenience store, for any of the types of uses that would request a final order or certificate of use from you, these criteria apply. Your staff has analyzed the criteria and has found and determined that they're in compliance. You certainly don't have to agree with your staff if you find or feel that one of these conditions is not being met. I would encourage you to have some more discussion or conversation along that line on the record if you feel that a particular aspect or a particular condition is not met. But if they meet the criteria, you all have legislatively determined that a certificate of use is warranted or should be granted. At the last council meeting, I know that there was some discussion with regards to criteria number 4 and number 5. And number 4 is the proposed use will not endanger the health, safety, and welfare of the residents. And there was some discussion with regards to the sale of alcohol and beer and wine within that area of the city, and that the proliferation of establishments has caused a negative effect in that area and has stipend, if you will, economic development. That, along with number 5, goes hand in hand, which is the compatibility with the surrounding area or neighborhood. And if you all have had issues with these convenience stores coming in before, and I suggested, and I still do, that if it really is an issue with these types of uses in that particular area of the city, then we should look maybe at the zoning regulations to either prohibit or do certain types of uses by special exception. And that's an option that's outside of this that we can do, but it's something that we can build on if you all want to take that policy direction. But you know, that's not a subject matter for discussion here under this, but it was discussed at the last council meeting.
Well, I just wanted to get some clarity because I think some of us, myself included, left a little more confused as though we don't have any authority in this at this dais based on the staff analysis, which is not true. So that's really just where I wanted to bring forward that there is, you know, interpretation of, you know, an item is a policy decision, and we are the policy board, and obviously the staff has their analysis and their processes, but you know, I think there is some flexibility on our part.
And I just, and what I would say to you and advise is that if you feel that one of these conditions is not met, have some discussion on the record to support the decision, okay, as opposed to nothing.
Okay. Ms. Waldman, was that you?
Yes, I wanted, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you know, I was part of that discussion in the last meeting, and with all due respect to my colleagues, you know, I'm very concerned about the decision that will be made tonight, because I too was awaiting the results of the police report, and and I'm the one that asked for that. And if I heard you right, the 3 written up reports were certainly not the fault of the owner of this property. Is that correct?
I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry.
They were traffic accidents. They weren't necessarily direct reflection of the property or the property owner or the sale of beer or wine.
No, the accidents were more related to 2 cars in a parking lot backing into each other.
And then there was an arrest after the store had been closed, which had nothing to do with the owner, the proprietor of this business, correct?
That is correct.
So I remember at the last meeting asking the owner if he had purchased this property rather than leased the property. And it was my understanding that he purchased the property knowing full well that he, according to our current code, would be allowed to eventually apply for a beer and wine license. And if he met the criteria, he would be given that certificate of use. Is that correct?
I will say that when an applicant meets with staff to request code information, we provide that information. At no time does staff ever guarantee an approval of any type of application at the council level. What we advise the applicant is that we will conduct our review of the application and provide our recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Board and the City Council.
Well, I wasn't saying that. I'm sorry if that's what you thought I said. What I meant to say, and hopefully it will be interpreted as to what I'm trying to relay here, is that I don't want anybody to purchase a piece of land and read the code. Let's just say they don't even go to you, but to read the code and then to know that they fall within that criteria and then be denied. I also understand that, you know, that there are certain areas of town, not just the Southwest, that, you know, that we want to change. And I agree with Mr. White that we should move forward and do what he has suggested to do and revise our current criteria. But I'm thinking about the 7-Eleven that just opened. I mean, there's several businesses that we welcome with open arms, and I just don't want to discriminate between one business owner and another business owner. So I'm very conflicted, and I too am interested to hear what you have to say. I mean, it's not, because if we set precedent tonight and you say no more, then there shouldn't be any more. So James, maybe you can help me with this.
Mayor, can I be put in queue, please?
Let Mr. Wallman's question be answered by the
Right,
attorney.
I know. I'm just asking, can I be put in queue?
Yes, sir. You're up next.
Ms. Waldman, in response, I'll try to answer or try to add some dialogue to your sort of question and your statement. And yes, you know, there is the notion that if you want to change the regulations, they need to be done, or policy direction can be given outside the scope of the public hearing. This public hearing and that discussion with regards to changing your zoning code or changing the criteria is something that should happen outside the scope of the public hearing. It's not the evidence, or it doesn't go to the criteria and the standards that are established currently that you're reviewing this application against. So I would encourage the council to keep those sort of comments and that sort of policy direction outside of this public hearing, and we can certainly at some point on the agenda discuss it, and or you all give policy direction. But I would encourage the council to simply stick to the criteria that's established for either granting or denying the proposed certificate of use.
Anything else, Ms. Waldman?
Well, thank you, James. But so with what you're saying, you're basically saying the same thing that Mr. Walton said last time. I mean, if we break it down as to number, the police report, and what was it, 4 and 5?
4 and 5, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just withhold any further statement, Mayor. I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Mr. Williams?
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you to my colleague, Councilwoman Wallman. But if we're what I'm saying is, for the area of that community, I can give you some key examples that are real life experiences that goes on within that sector of Lucy Street. There's a convenience store on I think 7th Street and Lucy Street that intersect, and they can they go in the store, buy the alcohol, go around the side of the store under the shade tree and consume the alcohol. It is a proliferation of alcohol, of beer and wine, or mostly beer is what they're buying. And I've seen it happen with my own eyes. And so we're going to stick with the criteria that they have provided for us. The proposed use should not endanger the health or safety or welfare of the residents of Homestead within that sector of the community. I interpret that to be a danger. I interpret that to be a safety issue. I interpret that to be not good for the quality of life within that residential neighborhood. I can see if we did not have any convenience store that offered beer and wine, but there are quite a few on Lucy Street that offer such. And so what I'm saying is that I cannot be supportive of this applicant, knowing that this is still going to, number one, diminish the community continuously, and go forward with a conscience, knowing that even in our due diligence in going out to talk with persons who live within the area and who have signed in protest of 150 signatures and signed this document, which I provided and talked to them, that say we don't want this over here. So how do we ask the community and then not follow up in giving the community in which they're asking for that they don't want another liquor store? It's not like they're adding jobs to the community. It's not like they are building out a new area that's going to increase the tax base. He bought this store knowing full and well that they already did not have any beer and alcohol or beer and wine license. So all I'm saying is that I cannot be supportive of this applicant based on what I have seen happen in my community, knowing that the 150 additional people have said, no, we don't want this in the area.
Okay, Mr. Maldonado, and then I'm going to open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. And I guess I'll ask a question in regards to the summary of analysis in number 4 and 5, and maybe we should open up and start having that discussion as mentioned by our council. I think that like anything else, there comes a point where we need to take a stand and start looking at this intently, because we know that if it's an endangerment to our community, where I think that the health and wellness of our community comes before anything else. Because without a healthy community, we can have no growth. And so I understand the concern of the community and of our Councilman Williams and what they're bringing forward. And I guess the question I would ask is, what are the stats? What's the information in which we could hang our hat, so to say, and in regards to the proposed, where it says number 4, the proposed use will not endanger the health and the wellness of the residents. What is, I know we have staff evaluation, but can you elaborate on that, or any other stats that we'd have either through our police department that would support this?
Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly might want to ask that question to any other staff. I think Councilman Williams alluded to his personal fact opinion with regards to actually eyewitnessing some of the issues associated with the that area of the community and alcohol, beer, wine. Although you may not have an actual police call or police incident report, that's not completely indicative or conclusive that there's not issues there. Certainly if there is some fact evidence that would show that there are issues or people have witnessed issues, that certainly can be something that you can rely on with regards to making your determination.
And I think you make the excellent point. I think that, and I grew up in this neighborhood, and there was at one point when I was an inspector for HUD, and I was driving through the community, and so I actually witnessed a shooting that actually happened on the premise, and I know that just through history that, you know, what tends to happen in this community, unfortunately, is that these locations, even they say, you know, loitering ends up become, you know, what happens is they loiter, they hang out, as they say, begin to drink, and then that's where it causes problems. And whenever we have any type of violence happening due to drinking outside of the premise, then we put the rest of the community in danger. And I think that's happened time and time again through our community. And so I think that's what I'm looking at as opposed to as a point of not supporting this issue, because I've seen it in the past, maybe not recently. And then I guess what I would then ask would to get us some more information from our police and from our police chief and their staff, and give us a little update or background of what's happening within those areas, because, you know, they might, again, you might not have any reports that were written down, but we know that our officers are responding, if they've responded to anything there, or if they had any issues. I think that's an important piece of information that we need to have before us.
How are you?
Was that you, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I apologize. I thought I had my phone on mute.
No.
Mayor.
Let me see if Mr. Maldonado was finished. Were you finished?
Yeah, I'll hold my, I made my point, so I'm
okay.
with that.
Mr. Williams, and then I'm going to open the public hearing.
Okay. I also thank you so much, Councilman Maldonado, for putting also up my eyes on this other issue. I have personally called the chief of police and the captain, maybe a couple of weeks ago, Captain Marie Kent at the time, and I said, Captain, could you send some officers over here, Lucy Street and I think 7, where they were out behind, and she automatically knew the address because they had gone there so much. So not only have I personally witnessed, but I know maybe not at that particular location where he's asking for, but very close to that location. I've had the police over there checking in, and because I witnessed it. And so, and also the Planning and Zoning Board, there was a split vote of 3-3, and as we all know, Robert Rules of Order, 3-3 is a failed vote. So the Planning and Zoning had a failed vote in coming with its recommendation to the council. So I want to really highlight that for my colleagues as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, before you open up for public, may I just say one thing?
Go right ahead, Ms. Wallman.
Yes, Councilman Williams, it was very important what you said about witnessing this happening. I tend to go by what I, by the rules, what I see on paper, but it was very important for me to hear you say that. Also, I would like to ask my colleagues to please realize that this isn't just happening, excuse me, in the Southwest. I've witnessed it. I mean, in the Audubon Plaza, I can't tell you how many times I have told police officers and begged them to come over and stop it. I mean, it's horrible. Over on 4th and Chrome Avenue, I mean, I see people drinking their beer in the back and actually taking, setting on the couch like it's happy hour. There's an old couch back there. I mean, it's on 8th Street. I mean, I see it happening all over our community, and it does need to stop. It really does. So I encourage all of us to encourage our staff and our police department to start making a difference and curtailing this behavior. So, Mr. Williams, you helped me see by telling me that it was something that you witnessed yourself. But I'm just saying it's not just this particular store. It's many stores all over our city. So, thank you, Mayor.
Mayor.
Okay.
I know you want to open it up. Just one more question for staff before we go on there, and
Go right ahead. Yes,
we'll
sir.
give the floor. Thank you, Mayor. Really appreciate that. To the manager, maybe through the chief. I'm not seeing anyone here at the moment representing. Oh, there he is. Can we, Major Kennedy? It's okay, Chief. We got it. Thank you, Major Kennedy. Major Kennedy, can you find out and maybe provide a little bit more information to this council? I see here that there was a report, a police report of kind of an overview of the call types that were given, and for 10 calls, and I don't know the date or the time, but I guess my question would be, how far can we go back and pull records and information of the established locations that do fall within this criteria, and what is their history and effects of the neighborhood? How far can we go back? And I think that information can give us a better picture of what we're asking for.
Are you requesting information specifically on that property location? And/or the general area that surrounds that location?
The general area and especially the street, which obviously we have many of those stores that follow that criteria.
We really can go back as far as you would like us to go back, as far as pulling statistics and as far as crime and criminal activity in that surrounding area. We can provide that for easily within at least a 5-6 year period of time.
And I think it's important for us to have that information, because it's information in hand that'll back up any decision that we do make if we decide to not go forward with this, and if we're going to go into the issue of the endangerment of our community, then I think we need the information to back it up. Am I correct on that, James?
Well,
I use it as a reference point.
That
helps.
If you're looking to make a decision tonight, that information is not going to be forthcoming. If you are wanting to defer this item again, table this item to get that information, I mean, that's certainly an option for you all. But what I'm hearing is that information would need to be researched and then come back to you. So it wouldn't be part of this record this evening if you all decided to vote on this item this evening.
Okay, I'll hold that thought for right now, and then we'll open the floor, and then
that could be accompanied with the question as to whether or not an ordinance change or a zoning a question of an area like we were talking about earlier could be part of that discussion. But this is a public hearing. I know the applicant's in the room. There's probably other people that want to speak for or against this application. So anybody would like to speak at this time, come to the podium, name and address for the record. Is the applicant here or anyone? Yes, sir. Name and address, please, for the record.
Hi, my name is...
It's a little button there. Is it green or red?
Sorry. Hi, sorry about that. My name is Abdel Nasi. I work next door to the location that the owner is asking to get his license. I just want to first of all, I want to provide you with this picture here. We own store next door to him, and we sell alcohol and wine in the store. Yeah, our building is the yellow one, and his building is the green one. We've been selling alcohol and wine before he buy his building. When he bought it from the guy before him, the guy before him, he applied for the license. That means the new owner, he know that he cannot obtain the license for alcohol and wine. That's one thing. Second thing, that's in the Homestead part of Lucy Street from US 1 to Redland Road, there is at least like 6 stores that sell alcohol. In the other side, which is Florida City, of the same street, Lucy, there is another like 5 or 6 stores that sells alcohol. So this is like more than the competition, because the profits on the alcoholic drinks, it's like nothing now. It's like between 18 and 25% profits. So if we add more stores, the winners on this process is going to be the addiction or the customer, because instead of buying, for example, one can or one bottle of beer, he's gonna be able to buy 2 or 3 of them. That's all I want to say, and thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so short. Hi, how are you? My name is Anna LaChapelle. I currently own the property next door to this establishment, which is 59 Southwest 8th Street. My family and I have owned the property for over 10 years. The neighborhood there is in a lot of distress. As you can see from the photo, the property is less than 10 feet apart. It's like a 2 feet crack. If you go, there are at least between a 1 mile radius of that area between Homestead and Florida City, there are 10 to 12 stores that currently sell an alcoholic beverage. So in reference to the question before, how many stores, it is approximately between the 1 mile radius of Florida City and Homestead on that Lucy Street Road is 10 to 12 stores that sell alcohol. Me and my family have owned that property for at least almost 10 years. That property, there is a lot of crime, and I personally believe that another establishment of beer, alcohol, wine would not benefit the community at all. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no one else from the public, I'll close the public hearing at this time. Any final comments from council? Any questions from council? Is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I move that we deny this application.
The motion is for denial based on the criteria of...
Based on the criteria of 4.
4.
I'll second that.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Any final comments from council? James, good enough? Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes, to deny.
Councilman Maldonado?
No.
Councilman
No,
Williams?
sorry. I'm sorry. And supporting...
Yes means that you're denying
Yes for denial.
Yeah. Yes. I can't put that down.
Got it. Okay, Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes, motion carries for denial.
Moving on to tab
No,
7.
Mr. Attorney, I'd like to request that we pull tab 30 forward. It's an eminent domain question, very simple. Get these high-priced attorneys a chance to go home. Anybody have a problem with tab 30?
Tab 30 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, further authorizing the city manager and city attorney to expend funds for the real estate appraiser for Gallagher and Birch, Inc. in connection with eminent domain and negotiated property acquisitions for 328th Street project, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Attorney,
30.
Mr. Attorney, anything?
I'll turn it over to my colleague, Pete Walden.
Oh, he's the one that's getting the big bucks, right?
I'm not sure about that, Mayor. Mayor, council members, pursuant to the Southwest 328th Street project, we have a couple of the parcels that one of which is set for trial. That's parcels 2 and 2A, which is Teal Point apartment complex. And then the other one we've moved to set for trial, and we expect to get a trial date in the next couple of weeks. Well, not for the case to go to trial in the next couple of weeks, but to get a trial date. As such, we would like to bring on, well, we already have the firm of Gallagher and Birch, who has appraised one of the properties on the project. That would be the parcels 3 and 3A, which is New Aquarius. In order to make sure there's enough funding for Gallagher and Birch to prepare trial appraisals and to potentially testify at trial, we've requested this supplement to their existing contract.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone with a question on tab 30, eminent domain? Close the public hearing. Final comments. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor, can we do 29 since Pete is here as well, and it's kind of part of
Absolutely.
it?
29.
Pete, you're going to stay for 29 too?
29 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, ratifying an option agreement for the purchase of a parcel of property, authorizing the city manager to exercise the city option and facilitate the purchase of the property, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Anything from staff? Anything, Mr. Manager?
Rick?
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the resolution ratifying the option agreement to purchase the parcels located at 34 Northwest 1st Street, Homestead, Florida, for the purposes of expanding Losner Park and authorizing the city manager to exercise the city's option. The option price is $510. The total purchase price of the properties is $65,000 and will be funded by park impact fees.
These are two parcels that are next to the wrestling academy that we already are in contract to purchase. There are two unimproved parcels. In consultation with our appraiser and with the attorneys, we think this is an amicable agreement and a good deal for the city.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Seeing no questions from the public, I'll close the public hearing. Final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Williams? Absent. Vice Mayor Shelley?
No, yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Tab 17.
Yes, Mayor. Tab 17 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the rezoning of 33 parcels totaling approximately 11.59 acres from the multiple apartment R3 zoning district, restricted retail commercial B1 zoning district, retail commercial B2 zoning district, liberal business B3 zoning district, and general use G zoning district to the government property GP zoning district for properties generally located west of South Flagler Avenue along the busway, north of East Maury Drive, east of Northwest 2nd Avenue, and south of Northeast 4th Street as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Mr. Manager, staff report. Rick, anything?
This is a second reading of a city-initiated rezoning of 33 parcels totaling 11.59 acres, all being rezoned to government property. There have been no changes since first reading of this application. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and provides for overall consistency with current and future city initiatives and downtown redevelopment efforts, including the expansion and rehabilitation of public facilities. The City Council unanimously approved the proposed rezoning on first reading at the August 20th, 2014 City Council hearing. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the proposed rezoning of 33 city-owned parcels to government property.
Questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing. Seeing no questions from the public, I'll close the public hearing. Final comments from council. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman? Absent. Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
There's a request to move 26 up. Is there any concerns from the council? Any opposition? All right, we'll go to tab 26. Mr. Attorney.
Tab 26 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request by D.R. Horton, Inc. for a modification and amendment to the Declaration of Restricted Covenants recorded in Miami-Dade County Official Records, Book 25297 at pages 4070 through 4096 for property located west of 137th Avenue between Northeast 16th Street and 22nd Street, and providing for an effective date.
Question, a staff report?
On August 7, 2006, the City Council adopted Ordinance 2006-0832, approving a rezoning, tentative plat, and a site plan for Country Gardens, a single-family residential subdivision. As a condition of the approval, the applicant submitted a declaration of restricted covenants. The declaration included a requirement of metal roofs. The applicant seeks to modify the declaration to remove the metal roof requirement. Staff recommends approval of the resolution to modify the declaration of restricted covenants by removing the metal roof requirement for residential dwelling units.
Questions from council?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Why was this covenant put on there back in August of 2006? Does anybody have the history?
I think at the time, the city was looking for a different type of design, and so they wanted to veer away from the traditional clay barrel tile roofs. Since then, the property has been sold from the original developer to D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton would like to use a product type that they use in other areas of the county that does not include the metal roofs. The clay tile roofs are consistent with the surrounding areas, and staff feels that it's not an inappropriate request.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? I heard you say there were no other metal roofs out there now?
Immediately adjacent to the property in question.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Applicants in the room, so.
Yes. Yep. Good evening, everybody. Hugo Arza, office at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm joined today by Sharon Sino of D.R. Horton, Inc. To the question that was proffered before, I mean, I think it was always just a stylistic, an architectural detail of the prior developer, maybe, you know, what they wanted to sell. D.R. Horton, you know, one of someone that's been in your community for a long time and one of the nation's leading home builders, has typically sold in this area and in this community barrel tile roofs that we're all very familiar with, but because this is a covenant, we need your approval in order to remove it. But we're happy to answer any questions, and we have, if it helps anyone, we do have sort of what those roofs will look like in some pictures that I could hand out. They look like the barrel tile roofs that are in anybody's house in the community, but I'm happy to pass those out if it helps any of you with any discussion.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. Is this the only change that you got, the applicant's going to be asking for on this parcel of property?
That's correct. I mean, there's no change in density. There's no other change. We are seeking, your report talks, we are seeking through the minor modification process that that administratively gets done to change the models, but all of the setbacks will remain the same. Everything will remain the same. Just very, the simplest way to explain it is there was a prior property owner and developer who had their homes for these properties, and now we have to, while maintaining the integrity of all the setbacks and everything, we need to approve the homes for the developer that's going to sell it now. We wouldn't even have to be before you today but for this covenant with the metal roof condition.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Was that Mr. Williams, that you?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor. I just got a question. I'm trying to determine the vicinity of this location. What district is this in? Whose district is this? I'm trying to, so I see a picture on here, but I don't quite.
It's Speedway Boulevard. It's right out. It's Mr. Maldonado's neighborhood. It's that vacant piece that they're working on now. I think it's the only one undeveloped.
It's in between the Waterstone 2 and Waterstone 1 on the entrances on 137th Avenue.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Okay, and Councilman Maldonado, is this something that you're supporting?
Yes, I've not heard anything in regards to the community speaking against it, and as to the question, other than if they're going to be presenting today. But outside of that, there's no one else that has mentioned it, and this item has been on the agenda. So,
okay.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, no, it just occurred to me. I think I remembered that back in 2005 we had Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Wilma, And after Wilma, there was a lot of issues with the clay tile roofs breaking loose at the time, the way that the code is written, I think, causing damage to communities. I remember there was a lot of complaints I heard over in Keysgate area. So this may have just been a knee-jerk reaction to those issues. But since then, my understanding is they've changed the code. The same issues don't apply. So that's probably where this came from. This was probably one of the first developments right after the Wilma incident with the clay tiles. So just for clarification, I think.
Hugo, the question I would have would be, is this request to change the roofing material because of the cost of the roofing material? It's just a question of what sells or what doesn't sell?
Not at all, Mr. Mayor. It's not a function of cost. It's a function of the property owner, of D.R. Horton, having an established look, style that they sell in this community and in others, and the homes that they are, and I will just pass out, what these homes look like. These are the models, the 3 models that are going through and I'll hand these to the clerk. It's just simply what they sell, and they don't, in this area, in this community, in this county, they don't sell the metal tile roofs. It's just not. It's just a marketing preference, if nothing else. And I think that the Vice Mayor is correct. I mean, there may have been some pushback back in the mid-2000s after the storms to do something different. But he's absolutely right. I had to change my barrel tile roof a couple of years back, and I know it's very different today. And so there's no longer any kind of safety issue that differentiates between those. So it is not a cost issue at all.
Right, and I just want us to make sure, and we send a message out to developers that come into town that, we just don't want a lesser product all the time, and, we'd like to see the bar raised, quality a little higher. So it has nothing to do with what you're proposing tonight, but the message needs to go out, that we're expecting the best out of these developers as they come in, and that's not directed at you, it's directed at everyone that's listening and wants to maybe come in and sell a low-end product. Those days I hope are past. So this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak for or against this, you're welcome to speak now. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. My name's Greg Bellamy. I'm at 4258 Northeast 16th Street, which is directly adjacent to this development.
Yours in the yellow? Okay.
There are 40 homes in a gated community directly adjacent to this site. In 2005, I just moved in, so this decision was made before. I was the president of the Homeowners Association. I represent 40 families here. We're not happy with the construction because it appears to be damaging the property that is they're right on our fence line doing their construction work. We're not happy with the fact that we don't know if it's going to be a gated community. It will be the only ungated community on 137th between Waterstone all the way from 288 to Campbell Drive. This will be the only, if it is ungated, I don't have any information on this property. That's why we came tonight. This is our first notice. You guys put a public notice out to the homeowners who were directly adjacent to the construction. And that's why we're here tonight, to get some information on development, find out who the developer, we just found out it was D.R. Horton. And no, they do fine work. They do fine work. We don't know what the density plan for this. We're in single family homes. And there's all kind of rumors. There's rumors, okay? But we're going to get those taken care of tonight, I'm sure. I understand there's a 40-foot easement between these developments. Can anybody from zoning confirm that?
I don't currently have the site plan, as we weren't reading the site plan this evening. We were only reading the application to remove the covenant, but I'm more than happy to give you my information and speak with you tomorrow and take out that site plan and go through it with you in great detail.
Appreciate that. And is there any code for a wall?
That is completely up to the developer.
That's completely up to the developer.
And so it's not a code requirement. The streets are private streets, so maintained by the developer. If they wish to put up a wall, they will make that request to Development Services. We would review it and then make a determination at that time. It's an administrative request.
Okay, okay. Well, the construction, their, what is that, elevation appears to be higher than our property. And if there is runoff, and we've had an incident where one of our homeowners did have some flooding, we'd like someone from zoning to come over and take a look at that and to see what can be done to prevent that from happening again.
We can go over those details tomorrow.
All righty. That's all I have. Thank you, sir, for the time.
And also address the question as to possible damage by the construction company to properties adjacent to.
Yes, our fence line has been damaged and dirt is being pushed from the construction site into some of the backyards.
Okay, and that's part of the request to check out, so.
I'll go ahead and send the building official out there tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Mr. Arza?
I'm happy the gentleman can stay for a couple of minutes. We'll chat with them. Well, again, we're not changing the site plan, the density approved prior, all of that. It is a single-family development. I mean, there's no density increase and nothing like that at all. But we're happy, and I'll give him my business card, and I know Ms. Sino of D.R. Horton will give them, we'll give her business card to him too, and we'll be in touch with them and help in any way we can.
And also, ask them to be leery of that damaging the adjacent properties and take a look at that construction effort, so be sensitive.
Ms. Sino's hearing you, and I'm sure we'll be on the phone with the engineers first thing in the morning.
No problem, no problem.
Mayor, if I might.
Yes,
just so that the gentleman doesn't go home tonight and not know exactly, but it's a single-family subdivision. All the lots are 7,500 square feet, so they're the bigger size single-family lots, and I believe it's 100 units.
Yeah, that's correct. It's 100 units.
It's a little under 5. It's a little over 5 per.
18 acres. So.
The density is, I believe, 6 units to the acre.
It's less than 6.
It's a little less than
5
6.
Point something.
Right. You're allowed up to 6. It actually ends up being just a tad over 5.
Right, exactly. Okay, this public hearing, any more comments from the questions from the public? I'll close the public hearing. Final comments, questions from council?
Just a quick comment if I could, sir.
Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. To Development Services, when the developers are coming in, if there's a homeowners association next to them or close by to them, can we please stress the fact that they need to reach out to them before we're going to reach out and help them? We've asked for this to happen many times. When there's development being done, if there's homeowners around, please make sure they're educated as to what's going on. Make the developers' representatives go out and have a meeting with them early on. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess.
Mayor,
yes, ma'am, Ms. Faircloth.
I was just going to mention that also, and Councilman Burgess, you've been consistent with that in your quest to ensure that the developers are having that collaborative conversation with the homeowners to prevent homeowners from coming here being blindsided and not knowing what's going on. So I think it's a move in the right direction if you have a conversation with the community directly adjacent to that property. And my question is, will this be a gated community?
It will not be a gated community.
Oh, okay.
Mayor.
Anything else, Ms. Faircloth? Mr. Maldonado?
That was going to be my question. Thank you, Councilwoman Faircloth. Is there any requirement that this needs to be a gated community because of the area? And I just to answer the question for the record.
There is no requirement that this has to be a gated community. The requirement is that the streets have to be private and maintained by the HOA.
Thank you.
Which they are, right?
Yes.
And that's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion? Do you have a question?
Just a quick comment. The HOA, as they take possession of the development, could add a gate at that time.
Absolutely.
Right.
They're not
So
precluded
there is
in
an
the future.
opportunity in the future for the HOA to add one. I just wanted to throw that out.
Of course.
Okay, is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final comments, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman? Absent. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Back
Thank you all. Good evening.
Thank you. Back to tab 18.
Yes, Mayor. If I could, I will introduce tab 18 and the related tab, which is tab 20. I'll read both, introduce both, and we could have a public hearing and then just take a separate vote on each. If that's amenable.
I think that's fine. We've had
Okay.
a tremendous amount of discussion on this item.
No, there should not be.
That's why we've already had it.
The tab 18 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of Equality Development, Inc. for a rezoning of an approximately 0.99 acre portion of a 4.19 acre parcel from the Professional Business Restricted B1A zoning district to the Restricted Retail Commercial B1 zoning district for property located at 16435 Southwest 312th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date, second and final reading. And tab 20 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a waiver of plat to Equality Development, Inc. for the division of property totaling approximately 4.1 acres located at 16435 Southwest 312th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. Both of these items are follow-up items pursuant to the Fluedger settlement agreement that you all approved at the last meeting. The rezoning you already heard. The waiver of plat is the first time you're seeing it, but we talked about it. It's the settlement agreement, and as you recall, there's an amended covenant that controls the future development on this property.
Much better product at the end after the whole process. So I commend everyone involved. So we've already got the basic staff report. So let me just, is there any questions from council? We shouldn't have any. Okay, so this is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing this time.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Amy Bulris with the Gunster firm representing Equality Development, and I welcome any questions. But before that, I just want to commend your staff and your attorneys and the neighbors and Equality Development for availing themselves of what FLUDRA promotes, and that is problem solving and listening and coming to win-win solutions. And we appreciate the efforts of all to bring it to your consideration tonight.
It's a much better product, much better product. Thank you for your help. So this public hearing, any questions, comments from the public? I'll close the public hearing. Comments from the council? Is there a motion?
I'll move tab 18 and 20.
Tab 18 and 20?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
That's a second on that.
I need a roll call vote separately on each item.
Roll call on 18.
Councilman Maldonado? Absent. Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Roll call on tab 20.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We want to skip tab 18, tab 19, and make them wait a little longer. Tab 19.
Yes, tab 19 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a special exception requested by Homestead Hospital to permit an interim agricultural use on approximately 10-acre parcel of land located at 975 Baptist Way, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date.
Anything from staff?
Yes. Homestead Hospital, as the attorney just stated, Homestead Hospital has requested a special exception for an interim ag use to allow approximately 10 acres on the eastern portion of the 60-acre Homestead Hospital property to be used for the operation of a therapeutic green space community garden and educational center. Homestead Hospital and Miami Grow Project will participate jointly in this project. Miami Grow, a nonprofit organization, will manage the operation. The applicant has submitted a general impact agreement as a companion item to this request. Staff recommends approval of the special exception to permit the interim ag use.
questions from council?
Yes, Councilman Williams.
Mr. Williams.
This is coming from what? Who?
Homestead Hospital.
Homestead Hospital.
I thought we said we were going to let them wait a little bit.
Well, they gave me a dirty look. We had to move on.
Well, in order for me to get out of here, we better hurry up then. When they say they use the word temporary, or how long do they propose keeping it as this rezoning piece? How long would it be for? Because I see the word
Code permits. The city code permits 5 years. After the 5 years has lapsed, the applicant is permitted to apply for 2 additional 1-year extensions.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Any other questions? I guess this is not your traditional bait and shift. You're actually going to have an amenity on the piece of property that you're going to use. That's going to enhance. It's going to be a nice asset to the hospital if I'm seeing it correctly.
Yeah, correct. Let me just introduce myself. Bill Duquette, 27433 South.
Is it mic on?
Yeah, I'm on, right? Okay. Yeah. 27433 Southwest 157th Avenue. Yeah, it doesn't obviously meet our general mission for the hospital, but it's an enhancement. It's an area that is slated for future growth or development of the hospital, which could be decades from now. You know, who knows when it is. And instead of keeping it fallow, we felt we should put it to some kind of use. And since it used to be an agricultural area where the hospital currently is, we thought, and we're an agricultural community, why not do something with agriculture? And also mesh in wellness and education and a lot of different things like that. So I don't know if that answered your question, Mayor.
That answers it perfectly. Any other questions at this time? Okay, it's a public hearing. Anyone that wants to speak for or against this? At this time, I'll close the public hearing. Final comments from council?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, I'd like to say that this is a great idea, and as I thought about it and spoke to some person about it, I think this is a great concept, and I applaud Homestead Hospital for this initiative. And so with that, I support the item.
Thank you. Is there a motion? It's moved by Mr. Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I want to thank you for your investment in Homestead and all the things you do for the community, and I think this is a great idea that you have, and appreciate that very much. Thank you, Bill.
Mayor, I'm sorry, and I should have stated this earlier, but there's a companion resolution that goes along with this. If you want to take that now, so that the Homestead Hospital votes can be done. It is the companion tab is
27?
tab 27.
Okay, tab 27.
Yes, is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an interim agricultural use general impact agreement between the City of Homestead and Homestead Hospital, Inc., providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. In every special exception that we grant for a interim agricultural use, the condition and the requirement is that the applicant also enter into a general impact agreement to address any issues, mitigate any issues. And that's exactly what this is, and it's the companion application to that special exception.
Okay, I'm going to go. It's open up a public hearing. If you, this is just as a companion. This is a housekeeping situation for us. I see none from the public. I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council? Is there a motion on tab 27?
I move it, Mayor.
It's moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk. We'll do a roll call on tab 19 first. We did 19.
You're already good on tab 19.
Okay.
So
roll call on tab 27.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Bill, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, Mr. Duquette.
Sorry, I'm Bill. Sorry, that we were in the recent edition of Edible South Florida. Just wanted to hand out for you guys to take a look.
We'll do it.
Indulge me that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tab 21.
Tab 21 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Villa Portofino East Commercial, located southeast of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike, east of Southwest 152nd Avenue, and north of 312th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A, consisting of approximately 7.07 acres and providing for an effective date.
Anything from staff?
Yes. The applicant is requesting a replat of a previously approved plat to accommodate changes made by the plat by Miami-Dade County. The site is zoned planned unit development with a future land use designation of light commercial use. According to City Code Section 2574, no changes, erasures, modifications, or revisions shall be made in any plat of subdivision after approval has been given of the final plat unless the plat is resubmitted for approval. The city surveyor finds that the plat meets the city, county, and state requirements. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the resolution granting the replat of the final plat for the existing 100-room hotel on the 1.61 acre land located at 2905 Northeast 9th Street, or as you all might recognize it, the Marriott Hotel.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Comments, final comments from council? Is there a motion? No? No motion? Tab 21. It's moved by Mr. Burgess and the second by Ms. Faircloth. Final comments, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Williams? Councilman Williams? Absent. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Would you record me yes on that one? I'm sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
Tab 22.
Moving on to tab 22. Tab 22 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, adopting a small-scale future land use map amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of 25 parcels totaling approximately 4.5 acres from low-density residential use LRU, medium-density residential use MRU, and light commercial use LCU to downtown mixed-use DMU for properties generally located west of North Chrome Avenue, north of West Maury Drive, east of Northwest 2nd Avenue, and south of Northwest 2nd Street, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Anything from staff?
Yes. This is a second reading of a city-initiated small-scale comp plan amendment of 25 parcels totaling 4.5 acres of the downtown mixed-use district. The city owns 16 of the 25 parcels. All affected parties were notified of the proposed change to downtown mixed use. No changes have occurred since first reading. On August 20th, 2014, the mayor and council unanimously passed the first reading of the ordinance to adopt the proposed small-scale comprehensive plan amendment. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the proposed small-scale comp plan amendment, modifying the designation on various parcels to downtown mixed use.
Any questions from council? Tab 22. Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time. Seeing none from the public, I'll close the public hearing. Final comments? Is there a motion? Is there a second?
I move it, Mayor.
Moved by Mr. Burgess, second by Mr. Williams. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado?
Tab 22. Absent.
Okay, absent. Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 23.
Tab 23 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 30 Zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Division 23, Planned Urban Neighborhood District, Section 30-396.62, subareas of the Southwest Planned Urban Neighborhood, to provide for parking garages as a special exception use within the downtown mixed-use subarea. amending Article 4, Supplemental District Regulations, Division 8, Special Exceptions, provide for parking garages as a special exception use within the downtown mixed-use sub-area of the Southwest Plan Urban Neighborhood Zoning District, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. It's a second and final reading.
Anything from staff?
Yes. This is a proposed city-initiated code amendment to the Southwest Planned Urban Neighborhood to allow for parking garages as a special exception in the downtown mixed-use sub-area. No changes have occurred since first reading. The proposed text amendment does not affect existing users or businesses within the area. The City Council unanimously approved the proposed text amendment in the downtown mixed-use sub-area at the August 20th, 2014 council hearing. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the proposed city code text amendment to the downtown mixed-use sub-area of the Southwest Planned Urban Neighborhood to permit parking garage with a mixed-use retail commercial development as a special exception.
Questions from council, parking garage addition? This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. I see no one from the public. I'll close the public hearing. Final comments from council. Is there a motion?
I move it, Mayor.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Williams, seconded by Vice Mayor. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 25.
Yes, Mayor, that's a motion. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You do it. I think staff is just looking for a motion with regards to car number 1290, approval for the use of the city trolley.
Mr. Maldonado, you want to explain?
Thank you, Mayor. I left, there's a flyer that we have that's in front of you, and October is a crime prevention month, and alongside of our community police department, we took an initiative to get involved with District 5. There's been some concerns and issues in regards to crime in the Waterstone, Malibu Bay area, and we've been out there quite a few times trying to nail down some of the issues that we're having, and so I think working with Major Kennedy, we recognize that October was Crime Prevention Month, and I think we're running a pilot program or initiative to go out to the community and have a Safe Communities event. And so what our goal is to get all the community members to come out and be able to inform them and how to better protect their homes and how to basically to fight crime. And so because of the area that we're in and there's a limited use of parking space for the community, our hope and our goal was to see if the council would support and sponsor the use of a trolley in order to drive within the Waterstone area and the Malibu Bay so that families will be aware of that and they could not have to bring out their cars. I mean, hopefully most of the families will walk if they're close by, but if not, there'll at least be some type of transportation system to cart them around the project. Again, this is a pilot program. I think if all goes well, we're looking at something on a larger scale, citywide, and with the police station, the temporary one, and then maybe even the future one. And so if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to help out or answer any questions in regard to this.
Questions from council?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, so this is, Councilman Mondal, this is an initiative that you're trying to do to inhabit safe communities or create safe communities with the trolley. I'm trying to understand. I support the idea. I think I just want to know.
The idea is for the families to come out and be better educated and well informed and have the resources that the city can provide them to better safeguard the community. The intent of the trolley is just to help facilitate the families that will be attending there. Again, because it would be held at the Waterstone Charter School area, parking would be the issue that they would have. And so our hope and our thoughts and our goal was to get the trolley so that we could move the families around and hopefully they wouldn't have to drive out the cars out and park and create an issue with parking.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. Thank you, yeah, I support your mission.
What, rather than waive the fee, I know this is, I know we have a battle with fee waiving. I'd love to pay for the cost of, through my budget, the cost of the trolley. It's $250 here, is that what it is? And I would suggest that the police department also bring in community policing as well. You've got a group of people that we've got to get re-engaged, you know, in the citywide community policing effort. But rather than waive the fee at this particular point in time, if I would just as soon pay for it myself out of my finances. I don't know which way, but I'd like to get it covered through either myself, mayor's budget, or community policing, whichever way we have the available resource, and also encourage community policing to partner with Mr. Maldonado in his efforts to, you know, expand this program.
Mayor, members of council, if you'd like, we could actually probably cover the funding through some of the community policing initiatives as far as finding a sponsor to pay for that trolley, if you prefer that.
The only thing, I know that we've had the discussion about fee waiving. My thing is, I'd like for us to do this. I will obviously we'll do it some way through this budget that I have. But in the meantime, let's just make sure that this gets done for Mr. Maldonado, but not through a fee waive process. Okay?
Understood.
You okay with that?
Yeah, perfect. I mean, that's the goal. And of course, you all are invited to, you know, please attend. This information is here. Again, this is an opportunity to get involved with the District 5, meet the families and hear the concerns as well. And please, you're more than welcome to join us in that day and time. Just to reiterate, this is a collaboration led by the community police department, and so we're just partnering with them and making sure that this is an effort that works well for our community. So thank you, Major Kennedy, and thank you, Mayor, for your support.
Absolutely. Now, we need to open a public hearing on this. Okay, so any other questions from council? Vice Mayor?
No, I was just going to ask, because it's being covered by the mayor, is there a vote to be taken here?
No.
It's not a budget question because
as long as there's consensus to do that, that's okay. And on any of these trolley issues, we just like to bring them to you as consensus, just because there's a potential here of having a trolley request a week. I know we have having a little bit of a mission creep here with these trolleys, but it's your decision. So this one we can do. If the mayor's going to pay for the cost, then we're good to go.
That's the process of encouraging council members to try to find way, you know, each of us try to find way to make these things happen without going through that fee waiver process. That's my intent through doing it this way, whether it's through Major Kennedy, the police department, through the budget for community policing, or through the budget that I have available as mayor. So that's it. So we don't have to open up a public hearing. Problem solved. Nope. Okay. Going on to, we're on tab 28 now, is that correct?
Yes, tab 28. Tab 28 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the acceptance of a proposal for the performance of professional retail recruitment services, authorizing the city manager to exercise renewal options, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Report from staff.
Yes, Mayor. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing a professional services contract with Buxton and authorize the city manager to engage Buxton for a retail study, retail recruitment, and retention. Buxton will perform a retail study and assist the city with retail recruitment. Buxton will specifically, 1, recruit new retailers, 2, retain existing retailers, 3, promote an understanding of current retail conditions. The initial contract is for a 1-year term with an option to renew for years 2 and 3. The annual cost is $50,000 plus an initial cost for Visa data of $10,000. The Visa data will be a 12-month snapshot of Visa transactions throughout the city that will help determine retail fit at available sites. This data will be loaded into the Buxton Scout application. The total first-year cost is $60,000.
Questions from council?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah, is it the intention for the city to contract year 2 and 3? I mean, would 1 year be enough, or, you know, are we looking at you all coming back and we need additional months for additional years?
what is the end result?
As I understood the question, he's wondering if this is 1 year or...
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not done yet, but I'll...
You're breaking up pretty badly, Mr. Williams.
It's on you all's end. I have perfect reception. No, just... but what I'm saying is that is this study going to... Do you see it continue more than 1 year is what I guess what I'm asking.
The way what they recommend, which we opted for a different way of doing it, they recommend a 2-year contract because they feel retention is also an important part in carrying you through the process. What we thought we would do, Rick, is...
Yes, the way this process is going to work, within 10 to 11 weeks, the initial retail study, which is a snapshot in time of where we are, along with the visa data, will help us understand what sort of retailers fit Homestead and how Homestead fits certain retailers. As we go forward through the year, they're going to help us with the retail recruitment, specifically when we go to the ICSC conference. They've been doing that for many, many years and are going to help us set up the meetings that we want. Once we figure our target, how we get to them in Las Vegas and really show them what Homestead is about. And then they're also going to help us with their data for the current retailers that we have, what our market really is, and to help them be able to maximize their business here. That's all going to happen within this budget year. If this process is as successful as we hope it to be, we have the option to continue this as we grow the city, because we know there's going to be a lot going on in the next 1, 2, 3 years. So it gives us some more flexibility than normal, and we're glad that they were able to work with us. So hopefully, if this is as successful as we would like it to be, we'll be coming back to you to continue this partnership.
Tonight, we're only agreeing to 1 year.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Williams, tonight, we're only agreeing to 1 year.
Okay, can I do a follow-up, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I guess now what I'm wrestling with is all of these studies. I mean, like the relation of these studies. Every time I look around, we're doing a study, and these studies are not 10,000. I mean, they're 50, 60. You know, they're getting quite to be expensive. So, do we need a study on how many more studies we're going to need to study? You know, so I just, you know, trying to see, and I understand the objective is to really see what Homestead could attract, but, you know, is there more studies coming down the way here? Because, you know, I think every agenda now, I'm seeing a study to come forward, and, you know, these are $50,000 studies, you know, looks like each time and more. I just want to raise that concern.
Sounds like what the councilman is saying is that you're all very ambitious in your agenda, and we agree, and we probably have bitten off more than we can chew at this point. But this particular one, as we see it, is the most important of the bunch of studies because it directly ties into how we're going to configure that parking garage and how we synergize with the other projects in the downtown to really transform the downtown. And what's nice, and Buxton is here, if you'd like them, they have a presentation. I wasn't sure if you wanted it or not. But they certainly can give you a presentation if you like on how they work. But in essence, what they do is they'll be able to come back to us within a period of time with a list of specific retailers that then we'll start working to recruit. And they'll have us, it'll also be helpful for us so that we have a fairly good, just make sure that our expectations are reasonable. And, you know, if we're expecting Saks Fifth Avenue, they'll probably tell us, you know, whether that's realistic or not. And if we can only achieve a certain type of retailer and we find that disappointing, then we probably should start rethinking some strategies. Hopefully we'll have a nice mix of retailers and we can start doing our recruitment efforts. It's going to take a lot of work to then start going through that. And of course, the conference that we spoke about at the last meeting should be helpful, although my hope is that we might be able to attract somebody prior to that conference, because if we come back to you with a garage, it would be helpful to know if we're dealing with small bays or we're dealing with large blocks. And so the sooner we get started with this, the easier it'll be to make some decisions on the garage.
This product, this is a data analysis question. I mean, you're going to pull data out of these files and then stack them up and see.
They'll do exactly what a retailer would do if they wanted to decide whether they were going to come to Homestead or not. They would find out, depending on the specific needs that they have. So if they're a place that relies heavily on a lunch business, and they say, geez, we want only those, we want to know who within a 7-minute drive time spends money within this area, they'll be able to see what that is. And so that's the kind of data that these retailers look for before they decide whether they're going to move in or not.
But it'd be nice for us to know that data as well, so that as those retailers look, we know what they're looking, we know what we are too.
Right.
So,
and also they told us it's helpful for our existing businesses as well. They gave that one example of what are the most popular beers that people buy, and so a bar owner might find that interesting information because they may not have that beer on their list, and if that's the one that most people like, it would be more helpful for them in their business strategy.
Does anyone want to see the presentation at 8:43? No, I didn't think so. You ready? Any questions from council, Mr. Williams? You okay with now?
Yeah, if they just have a presentation in email form, I'd like to read it.
Also, Mayor, if to Councilman Williams's point, if this is the last study that we do for a while, we'd be perfectly happy.
Okay, any other questions from council?
Yes.
Ms. Fairclough.
Thank you. I have a question for the applicant, the representative, if they're here.
Representative.
If I read it correctly, a portion of this fee calls for a study of Visa card sales within like what mile radius? Because I'm thinking the data that would be yielded from this, I think would be very limiting, because if you're pulling the Visa card sales locally, it may not represent what we would purchase had we had those entities in the area. So I'm just trying to understand the rationale for that, if you can just clarify that.
Let me speak to that in a couple different ways. My name's Ryan Stewart, I'm from Buxton. So that Visa piece that we do, it's not just the residents, it's anyone that uses a Visa debit or credit card that is traveling through your community, going on for tourism purposes or visiting your community, along with the residents. We are the largest aggregator of consumer data in the U.S. So that Visa piece is important because it allows us to understand what you're buying and where those individuals are coming from. But it also allows us to leverage that with our other models to understand a plethora of things about what's going on in your community as it pertains to retail, buying habits, and things of that nature. So it's not just the residents here, it's all-encompassing as far as any purchases that are made within the community.
I have a follow-up question. Can you just provide an example of how this Visa card study impacted a community as it relates to economic development?
Absolutely. So we just did a complete study for the state of Arizona. They chose us to do that study for them, breaking the state apart into 5 different regions. And using that Visa data allows us to understand who's coming into the community, how a community could better serve those coming in. So one of the conversations we've had previous here, specific to Homestead, was capturing more of those tourism dollars that are passing through the community. This allows us to understand and give us better insights into what types of amenities would be useful for you guys to try to attract to the community. So again, help attract more of those dollars that are coming in and out of Homestead.
But you had asked, though, I'm sorry, she had asked a specific question about downtowns. We had talked about a little bit when we met. If you could kind of touch on some of the downtowns you've had some impact with.
Sure. So we've worked with close to 700 communities at this point over the last 15 years. Specifically to Visa data, Kingsport, Tennessee is a great example of a downtown that's used our Visa data. Bloomington, Illinois, Livermore, California, Pasadena, California. They've all used that Visa data. Palm Springs is another great example. Palm Springs, just like any of those other communities, leverage the Visa data to understand what types of what we call second-tier retail. So what types of retail are out there that they can't get based upon just the constituents that live here in the community, but using that visa data and understanding who else is out there that's coming to the community, we can then find those individuals, understand who they are as shoppers, and then allow us to roll that into the package to recruit other retail concepts that you may not be able to get on your own, just with your normal constituents. Sorry, I'm trying. It's an extra layer of information that is needed if you'd like to tell the complete story of your community. So if a city relies just upon the normal information that's out there, you're missing a vital piece of information about your economy, which is that tourism piece or that visitor piece.
Can you speak to a little, though, about some of the downtowns where businesses actually came in as a consequence of the report?
Sure. So Pasadena, California is a great example of that. We used, Palm Springs, excuse me, they were looking for second-tier retail in their downtown and in their large retail corridor. So we used that visa data to understand who else was out there they could bring in. So we did actually get some higher-end retail they wouldn't have been able to get on their own based upon just their constituents, so such as Neiman's, California Pizza Kitchen, things of that nature. So higher-end retail that was justified by leveraging the information that we had with the visa piece.
Just one more question. Sure. And only because you mentioned Neiman's. Okay. Only because you mentioned it. How can we recruit a Neiman Marcus that may be a business that I would like, but that wouldn't be captured in my visa sales because there is no Neiman Marcus, there is no entity
That's right.
associated. So how do you capture those businesses when the data wouldn't be captured on my visa?
Yep, but we can identify you as a Neiman Marcus customer.
How?
So we know that you and others are like you are in Homestead that would like to have that concept, and
they know everything that you buy.
Yep. So
it's only food.
So just to back up, for the past 20 years, we've worked on the retail side doing just that for retailers. So we've worked with over 3,000 retailers across the U.S., helping them understand who is their best customer, where they're located, and how they should locate their next concept.
So they know, for example, you live in Homestead, they know your retail patterns, they know the categories that you spend dollar-wise and the types of things that you buy and where you're buying it. So if they see that there's a bunch of people in Homestead that are buying a certain category, but they're driving a half hour away, that helps them in trying to determine whether, if that retailer was down here, you're a potential customer for that retailer.
Okay, now that answered my question. There you go.
That's the only thing she wanted.
It is a little scary, I must say, because it's not only the credit card data that they have, but they have all kinds of crazy things in their database, and by the time we're done, we'll know everything about you all and what you're doing. So it'll be, if that's comforting. Just kidding, just kidding.
Well, for full disclosure, I only shop in Ross in Homestead. Not Neiman's.
Any other questions from council?
Quick question, if I could.
Mr. Burgess.
Thank you. So you don't capture what's being sold, you do capture what's being sold here at the retail stores, but you also go through to all the homes, the individual people that had the cards in town.
That's correct.
And try to pick that up. Do you go outside of town also, like to Florida City? Would that be affect our
That's a great question.
data?
So we look at your community as a retailer would. They're not interested in your political boundaries. We look at that specific site. So right now we're focusing on the downtown area and to revitalize that. So we're creating a drive time trade area that's going to cover outside of your political boundaries and gather other communities, and they're also a part of that study as well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, anything else from council? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to ask any questions or speak to this. I see none. Close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So we're done. Oh, reports? Is that all we got? Did I miss any, James?
Done.
Done. Okay. Anything from the manager? Mr. Manager? City Attorney? James? Mayor and Council, Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams, any reports tonight?
Yes, sir. Believe it or not, I don't have anything.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Faircloth?
Yes, just an abbreviated version. The Rock and Rib Fest, October 4th. Mr. Larry Roth, and This Is for the Kids, are doing a phenomenal job at marketing this event. The net proceeds benefit children and nonprofit organizations in this community, so we encourage everyone to attend. And finally, we have openings for 2 youth council members between the 8th and 12th grade, must be residents. So if you are interested in being a part of our very dynamic and engaged youth council, I encourage you to email me at pfaircloth@cityofhomestead.com so that we can bring you on board to join this dynamic group of students. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick thank yous. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for your support tonight on the puppy mill ordinance as we move that forward. And like I said earlier, Commissioner Lazaro from Hallandale Beach for coming down here tonight and showing her support that as she's helped. I also want to thank Frank Zebri for his help. How do you say Frank's?
Balsabry, yes.
Balsabry. From the county level, as many of our residents may see, we do have the light at 137 and 328, which has been a very dangerous intersection for our residents. So we've got that. Julio is still working. We're trying to get answers from them on exactly on a couple questions of Pacific Boulevard and 152 and the double turn lane out at 312 and 137. I'd been promised it was going to be done quickly, but that was the third time I'd been promised that by the county. So hopefully we're moving along on that. To Major Kennedy, the principal of Laura Saunders Elementary School asked if we could pay attention to the convenience store that sits just to the west of them over there and make sure that at least during recess and stuff there's no congregation of people hanging around and putting a bad sign out for the young people that are out there walking around the school zone. Thank you for that. I know you guys will take care of that. If we could go to tab 20, or excuse me, tab 19 on here real quick. Michelle, this question is going to be for you. Because this reminded me tonight, if we could go to the picture for that. We gave the hospital, who I believe will do the right thing over there and do the agriculture like they're supposed to. But a while back in Ms. Faircloth's district on 147, we gave people a 5 or 10 acre, I think a 5 acre variance, and they've done nothing out there. So how do we enforce that? Because if we're going to give this, we need to make sure that people follow up and do the agriculture that they're supposed to do on the property, not just come out and put a fence up as this particular applicant was requested and then has walked away.
The applicant that we heard in 2012, right off Campbell in the Crystal Lakes
on
development?
147, it backs up to the canal. I believe it was the back 5 acres of a 10 acre parcel. We asked them specifically to put a fence up to go around with the trees, and then they have not. They put the fence up, but there's been no other actions on that land. So how do we enforce these agricultural exemptions once we give them?
We can code enforce them.
Or James, yeah, whoever. Because I think there's several of them. There's several of them. The people come in and do this. Right, but they don't do what they're supposed to do. So I feel like they're taking advantage of the city, and if there's some kind of mechanism to revoke, then I think we should look at that. Or if not, we need to add one in.
Right. We can certainly go back and, well, none of the agreements that we did, I think we have like 4 or 5 since we adopted this provision. None of those agreements have a provision that talks about if the agricultural use ceases operation or
never starts.
But certainly moving forward, we can include that in the as a condition of the special exception and also as part of the general impact agreement. But we can go back and look at the revocation provisions and see if there's something that can be done.
Okay. What else do I have? So, I mean, that particular property is at 147 and it backs up to the canal. You'll see a chain link fence around it, and I believe that, and unless they've done something lately, there's been absolutely nothing done that they were supposed to do out there. Yeah, Vice Mayor?
I just got a follow-up on that same issue, and that is, the reason they do this, though, is for property taxes purposes, correct? And so we
Yes.
lose money in that respect. So even though there's not a, no?
The county does, the city doesn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we still got our share then.
Under our general impact agreement, all the general impact agreements have a provision whereby they still pay the
city's
commercial
portion.
or resident, whatever it was,
Right.
That land use tax rate.
Okay.
It's not the agricultural tax rate.
Okay, all right, perfect. So really, it's more of an aesthetic issue than specifically versus, say, a lost revenue issue.
Well, the county loses the revenue,
Yeah,
though,
the county
right?
definitely loses revenue.
Well,
So,
depending if they take that and they go to the county. and
Right,
they
which
seek
I'm
an
sure they all do.
An agricultural exemption at the county.
So-
You know, I can't speak for the county property appraiser, but there's statutory provisions that they follow with regards to a bona fide agricultural operation or use to get the tax exemption. So, you know, whether or not they have it, I'm not sure, but from our perspective, it's not a loss of revenue.
Right. But you know, they leave these unattended lots and walk away with it, and they come and make us promises or believe that they're going to do something with them, and then they just walk away from them, and they're overgrown lots that look horrible, and here we are trying to help them. So I think we need some sort of mechanism to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do when we give them these variances. And then one last thing. This is the Dog, which is an organization that is very well-known and active here in the community of Homestead, and rescuing dogs is having their annual Yappy Hour. It's going to be held at the Banyan Tree out at the Keysgate Golf Course this year on October the 24th from 6 to 9:30. It's $5 per person, $10 for a family donation. There will be food and drinks available, and if your dog wants to dress up for Halloween, they will have a Halloween costume contest. So, Mayor, dress your dog up and bring them on out there, all 10 of them.
Count on it.
All right, sir.
Do me a favor, can you just update the council on the League of Cities and
Certainly, thank you. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Myself and the mayor have been actively pursuing our tax issues, ad valorem tax issue that we have with the Speedway. And a week and a half ago, myself and the mayor drove, we had our first meeting was at the Florida League of Cities back in August. We met with the executive director and Mike Sittig and Scott Dudley, the head of the advocacy for the league, and had a great hour-and-a-half meeting with them and threw some ideas back and forth. And they asked us to please go to their advocacy meetings, which were held last week, a week and a half ago up in Orlando, excuse me. And myself and the mayor went up and presented at the Tax and Finance Committee. And out of 12 presentations that they were given that day, 4 of them moved forward. Unfortunately, our issue is one of them, because it's not just becoming our issue anymore. As counties are looking for funds, they're grasping at different things, and areas that own marinas are targeted right now. There's some city-owned marinas that are being targeted. In fact, it's in the courts. So fortunately for us, as we move forward on this battle that has plagued the city for years, we've now gotten the attention of the Florida League of Cities, which will make it a statewide issue in education for them. So we've been very fortunate in that as we try to gain momentum. As the mayor and I say, we'll talk to anybody that will listen, and even if they don't listen, we'll talk to them about it. So we're there fighting the battles. We'll go back up to Orlando. I think it's going to be around October the 10th. To be there as they move the 4 items forward and try to get this to be one of their 2 priorities. They'll either pick 2 or 3, depending on how the vote goes, and try to make this one of their priorities for the year. And we'll take that forward and hope that we can continue the momentum that we've gained. We've got a lot of help from their staff there. Young lady Amber has been very energetic and helpful to us. And it gets our problem and wants to help us with it. So that's some good news for the city, that we are gaining momentum on a state level. As before, we've always gone places and we've always been late to the dance, or people don't care because we're Homestead and they don't get it. But now as the situation is starting to reach out to other municipalities, People are paying attention and they want to help. And they understand that racetrack's going to bring over $2 billion down here over the next 10 years. And that was a key figure when that eyes opened up, because they don't want to see anything happen to that down here. So, anything else on that, Mayor? Feel free to jump in.
No, the only issue that we were talking about too is at the state, somewhere along the line they've taken up an issue where the counties are going after municipally owned marinas, whether the marina is leased out or not. If the city owns a marina and operates the marina, the county is trying to say that it should be paying property tax on that marina. So now what you're seeing is our situation is a lease operator, but now the counties are taking a position and they're hiding behind the constitutional words that says we're not exempt. But so it's reaching across lines now where other municipalities are feeling the punch, and that's why I think it's important, especially with John, Mr. Burgess being the incoming president of Miami-Dade League. You're also on the board of the state league, so he's the great conduit for us right now to take advantage of his leadership role in the league, and the fact that what we see happening statewide is really significant to municipalities. So we need a constitutional amendment to rectify this problem between how they perceive local municipal government compared to county and state. They're immune. They're immune from taxes. They don't even talk about it. We're the only ones that don't have that immunity. We want that immunity bestowed upon municipalities as well, so that our economic development tools are available the same playing field. So, but I appreciate your role in inviting me to participate, and he and I had crying tears, and but it worked. It worked so far. Anything else, Mr. Burgess?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. I was actually looking at my notes here in February 13 of this year. I asked the manager and the staff on the 12th Avenue. We have some trees that are being covered by some lights. We're trying to identify, are they the cities, are they the property owners? And actually, I was going to bring it up again because I continually see residents that remind me of this. So again, going back in my notes, this has gone since February of this year. We're exactly where we're at today, and I still have the same question, and at some point I would like an answer in regards to those lights on 12th Avenue across from Seagrape Village. There is a community there, and I think it's right behind, we have, I would say it's on the side of the city property where our Harris Field is, and then right behind Harris Field is, I think, a trailer park there. And so those lights on that road are there, but apparently according to our residents, they're covered, and so it's dark. So if you could please, hopefully sometime before the end of this year, have that information, I'd really appreciate it.
Councilman, is that over there by Seagrape? You're saying it's across to the basketball courts?
Well, it's a community, so it would be the community right behind our property. So I guess just take a drive at night and see what lights they're talking about and that are covered, and let's find out whether it's the property of the trailer park that's there, I believe it is. There's a trailer park there? Am I correct on that? Across from Seagrape.
Yeah, you had it's Harris Field, then the trailer park, and then across the street you have apartments, and then it becomes Laura Lane, Kia Drive, and then Seagrape.
So it'd be in between Seagrape and trailer park, or the trailer homes.
So you're saying around the Kia Drive and Laura Lane?
Yeah. Just take a look at those lights, and again, apparently they're covered up. They're on, but they're covered, and so if they're ours and we need to maintain them, let's go ahead and maintain them and provide the safety that the lights give us, and that's about it.
You got it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor. Oh, come on. Well,
Yeah, Jackson.
it's a sensitive subject, but I want to say at some point in time we need to send a huge bit of gratitude forward to State Attorney's Office and all the hard work that they did to make sure that this problem that existed in Homestead is has been addressed. And I just think that we should acknowledge the fact that of their really hard work, because this is one of the few corruption cases that's been won lately. So from me, the mayor, and I know you probably have some contact, but give them our great appreciation for their very, very hard work, and I'd love to write a letter of appreciation or something. So, but with that said, congratulate everybody. Wonderful meeting tonight. We didn't have to extend. It's a great thing. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn, Mayor.
All right, sir. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Good night.
Good night.
See you around tomorrow.